Hello, and welcome to this very special episode of the Sausage Factory. I'm your moderator, Bizow. With me tonight, I have got Orc. What's going on, Orc?
What's up, gangsters? Got my Coke Zero. Oh, shit. Wait for it. Wait. Deliciousness.
You'll just have to excuse him tonight, Anthony. He's not quite that.
If you leave, we'll know why.
Are you sure that's just Coke Zero in there? That's what I want to know. I don't know. What are you really drinking?
Coke Zero.
It's 10% Coke Zero, 90% Captain Morgan.
Yes.
A little bit of GHB in there too, I think. Jay the Stingray's also with us tonight. What's going on, Jay?
What is up, guys? You ready to get spooky?
Ever-present gigantic cup of coffee. Don't know how this man sleeps at night drinking all that coffee.
Better than you might imagine.
Also with me tonight, I've got B-Movie Mike. What's going on, Mike?
What's up, guys? I happen to be off tonight. Normally, I don't get to join in on the festivities. I have to go to work. But tonight, my portion of the show is brought to you by Captain Morgan's Black.
Oh.
Hell yeah, let's get it on.
And I have got our special guest with us tonight, who you may know, the former webmaster of HalloweenMovies.com, the producer, co-writer of the awesome documentary Halloween 25 Years of Terror, among many other awesome documentaries. There they are.
I'm just hawking my wares here. There you go.
Mr. Anthony Masi is with us tonight. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm really happy to be here. It's exciting. You're asking me to talk about my favorite movie. I mean, why would I not want to be here? I don't understand. So, thanks for inviting me.
We definitely appreciate you joining us. It is, of course, the night before Halloween. It's Devil's Night, and we're going to celebrate the Festival of Samhain by sacrificing Orc. So sorry for the bad news, Orc, but that's why you're here. We got to make those druids happy. Got to make those druids happy. The Thorn cult. So anyway, I've jumped ahead of myself. But no, we're gonna celebrate Halloween with a special live commentary for the original, classic, the immortal John Carpenter's Halloween. James, you've joined us. I'm sorry, Captain Spaulding, are you with us?
Can you hear me yet?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you?
No, I guess I'm not.
Hey.
We can hear you.
We can hear you. Are you there? Are you present?
Turn my headphones up.
What about you, Barry? Are you present? Barry? No. Apparently not. Or he's doing.
It's going to be a rough night.
But, yeah, we are all here to celebrate Halloween by watching the original Halloween live in real time. Live tweet with us during the show at TSF Nation. Leave questions or comments for us or Mr. Masi in the comment section of the video below, and we'll get around to answering those soon. What we've done, like with all of our live commentaries, is I've got my copy of Halloween, the 35th anniversary edition. I've got it queued up at 0.00 at the very beginning of the film, so if you guys want to watch along with us, queue your copy of the film up at 0.00, and we'll do the countdown, and we'll get the party started right. So while you guys are getting all that queued up, all that ready to go, I just want to mention that this episode of the Sausage Factory is brought to you guys in part by Phoenix FearCon 6. Phoenix FearCon is Arizona's largest horror convention and film festival for 6 years running. It's all going down November 1st and 2nd. Discount tickets are available on their website, phoenixfearcon.com. Go check those guys out. Also, our good friends at Horror Block, which if you guys aren't familiar with what Horror Block is, this is Horror Block. It's a box full of horror goodies delivered straight to your door. Every month they've given us yet another awesome discount code to give away to you guys. 10% off. Follow the link in the description to subscribe to Horror Block monthly services. Use the promo code, which I believe the promo code this time is Superhero. Use that promo code and get 10% off your subscription to Horror Block. Let me check again. James, Barry, are you with us?
Can you hear me?
Sure.
Yes, I can hear you guys.
Yes, we can
Great.
hear you.
I had to get on my goddamn phone. My laptop hates Google Hangouts.
That's a nice picture for a phone.
That is, man.
Yeah,
You rocking
It's the
that?
iPhone 5.
Okay. Quality right there. We've got everything queued up to 0.00. If you and Barry want to go ahead and
I'm ready.
get everything.
I'm
Okay,
ready
cool.
to
What
rock
about
and
you,
roll.
Barry? You ready to rock and roll?
Yeah.
All right. Well, without further ado, why don't we go ahead and let's launch into greatness with John Carpenter's Halloween. So in 3, 2, 1, press play.
Yeah.
All right.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah, if you guys don't mind turning the volumes down just a little bit, there we go.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Donald Pleasance, the late great Donald Pleasance. Now, Anthony, I know you worked. You were the webmaster of HalloweenMovies.com for how many years?
I was the webmaster for 6 years, and it
6
flew
years.
by. Yeah, it just flew by. It was like, I don't know. It just went by so fast. I think because so much happened during those 6 years. But so yeah, I got the job because I did a convention back in 2003 called 25 Years of Terror. No, that was right. That was the name of my DVD. The convention was called Halloween Returns to Haddonfield, and that's where we actually got the footage to create 25 Years of Terror. And right around that time, they hired. It was right before I was putting that event together that they hired me to run their website. The guys that were running it before stepped down, and they called me because I had a website called the Myers Museum. I don't know if anybody remembers it, but
Oh yeah.
oh, cool. And basically, I just wanted to learn HTML programming, and so I collected Halloween memorabilia, movie posters, and figurines and stuff like that. And it was all Halloween. Anything Halloween I collected, and I was like on eBay all the time. So I wanted to learn how to design a website, and so I just put my collection sort of online, and it started to draw this huge following. I had like thousands and thousands of people coming to my website all the time. And so the Halloween producers knew that I had this site. So when the other guy stepped down, they just called me. And I came home one day from work, and I had this message from Mustafa Akkad's office that said, "Hey, do you want to be our new webmaster?" I was like, "Yes." So a couple days later, I was in his office, and they hired me. So it was really fun. It was really cool.
Yeah, awesome. I bet that was quite a phone call to receive from Mustafa Akkad.
Well, it didn't come from him. It came from his secretary.
Oh, okay.
Right, but I mean, I remember listening to it like 10 times, going like, "Am I hearing this right?" It was just the coolest thing because I remember when I was running my site, I thought, wouldn't it be cool to run the official site? And then there it was. The opportunity was there. It was really, really great.
Yeah.
Now I have to ask you guys: can you guys see the movie? Because I can't see it.
Oh, you can't see it?
No.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I mean we're all watching it. We're all watching it.
All right. All right, now I can see it. Whoever did that, thank you.
And my feet.
Oh wow.
But yeah, I mean we're at the young Michael is walking around the house. He just saw his sister and her boyfriend walk upstairs.
Right, okay. All right.
And an amazing sequence, steady cam, POV.
Right.
Yeah. I've been noticing a lot of people posting on Facebook here recently the Siskel and Ebert review of Halloween.
Right.
And it's a pretty interesting review because Roger Ebert says, we're getting, basically what he's saying is we're getting some flack because we're recommending Halloween and saying that it's a great film while we disparage these other women in Jeopardy movies. And he says, this movie is made with artistry. This movie is made by a great filmmaker. And I mean, definitely this opening sequence certainly shows that,
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think for the time, nobody had seen a shot like that before. So right off the bat, you've got this really beautiful, very fluid shot. That's one shot, although they do admit they make one cut in it. But yeah, I think it was something. I think horror movies forget that you got to show your audience something they haven't seen before. And I think,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I think they knew that right away. They had this, incredible device that was going to take this that they could do this shot with. Why not open the movie with something epic? And right away you're lulled into this beautiful shot because you've never seen it before. It's been duplicated a million times ever since.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I think actually there's at least one hidden cut. There may be more than that. I think I recall Carpenter at least admitting to one cut.
Yeah.
One hidden cut.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this, like you said, I mean, this was, beautifully photographed, steady cam, the wide Panavision lens. And I mean, for what ostensibly is a cheap grindhouse exploitation movie,
right.
I mean, it's pretty ambitious. You can tell that right off the bat.
Right.
And now, so much has been said about, the psychosexual undertones with Michael Myers and his sister, and of course, this movie sort of created the whole archetype of, the good girl surviving while the promiscuous girl. Yeah.
Isn't that funny? Because John Carpenter has said that he didn't intend that. That was so not part of the plan. To write this, this virgin that lives and everything. But I think art, it's like it speaks to you, and I think the things in it that relate to an audience ultimately come out. And I think maybe we wanted to see that. Maybe the virgin surviving and that it's like the art kind of it speaks to you. Like the artist sets out to create something, put something out there, but then it's got its own messages in there, And I think the movie really did invent a lot of. Well, listen, let's back up a little bit. 4 years before Halloween, there was a little movie called Black Christmas. Do you guys know that movie?
Yeah. Oh, yes, very well.
I mean, come on. There's a lot of similarities between Halloween and Black Christmas. And
John Carpenter swear. John Carpenter swear.
I know.
There was no influence. Bob Clark said that basically he gave John Carpenter the entire idea all the way down to the name. But Carpenter remembers it differently. So,
well, it's funny. I've talked to a lot of people in the series, and I can tell you that it really didn't happen. It really didn't. He didn't really lift anything from Clark. I mean, Irwin Yablans came up with the name. Right. Mustafa Akkad financed. I mean, it never along the line do you see Bob Clark anywhere when the Halloween people talk about how Halloween happened. Right. You never hear Bob Clark. But the facts remain that Bob and John were friends. That's been confirmed. And that the sequel to Black Christmas was supposed to be called Halloween. So I don't know.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
But even if Carpenter ripped it off, even if he admitted tomorrow that he ripped it off, I mean, this is still a phenomenal movie. I mean, if it had been ripped off by anybody else, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about it today, most likely.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, do you guys know the movie The Night of the Hunter?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's an old 1955 movie or something like that. That's the movie that Carpenter and Dean Cundey watched to get the look down of Halloween. And if you get a chance, watch it again. Find that movie and watch it, because the scene where we'll see it later on, where Annie is standing in her kitchen and he's behind her and the camera pans and comes back, and that was kind of lifted from Night of the Hunter. There's a scene where that same gag happens, And so, you know, John Carpenter, you know, it's like nobody comes to the table with nothing, you know, everything's derivative. And so
Right.
he took, you know, elements that inspired him, but then created this new thing that created, you know, the slasher genre. So I find that interesting. It's like everyone credits that to be the first film, yet if you go back, like Psycho, you know, there were movies that scared audiences very successfully before Halloween, but Halloween did it in a way that sort of created it created the slasher genre. You know, it harnessed it. And so that's what I think is the beauty of that movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're pulling up to the Smiths Grove Sanitarium with Dr. Loomis and was it Marion Chambers, the nurse?
Oh, yeah.
And yes. Let me ask you guys. Let me start with Mike, because I know Mike, this is your all-time favorite horror film. Let me ask you, when was the first time you saw the film? Do you recall? And what was the impact it had on you that first time?
Well, the first Halloween movie I saw was Halloween 2. I was only 9, almost. No, I just turned 10 years old when this film came out. It came out in October, right after my 10th birthday, so I was a little too young for it. But I saw it on VHS. I rented it, and I had already seen the second one and loved it, and then I saw the first one and loved it even more. For some reason, those two films are my two favorite, original and sequel, as far as horror films go. I thought it, my birthday being in October, Halloween's always been my favorite fun holiday. Everybody loves Christmas, but that's more about family and getting together and stuff. But Halloween's like a party type holiday. It's fun. And John Carpenter's movies, I thought, just embodied the feeling of Halloween. Even though the first one was, shot in California, and if you look around, you can see a few palm trees. But I thought he hit it rather well for the budget that he had, and he still managed to capture that feeling of Halloween better than some other films.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There for so long, it didn't even dawn on me that the movie was shot in California and there's palm trees everywhere.
Right.
It was many years after that I realized, oh yeah, there's palm trees. This is California. This isn't Illinois. But they hit it so well that, because this shot here, that's Haddonfield, Halloween, that's a beautiful shot, and it looks very fall. You've got, I'm guessing those are fake leaves that, Dean Cundy or somebody's dropping in front of camera. Right. But they did an excellent job. The streets are wet in this sequence. It looks fallish to me. It's kind of overcast.
Another thing about this movie is that, it's supposed to take place in Illinois. Well, I'm originally from Indiana. So, it was like a neighboring state, like, holy shit, this could happen in my neighborhood. And it was a nice neighborhood where things like this don't happen. If you notice at the beginning, his mom and dad were well dressed. They just came home from like a company party. This is not the kind of neighborhood that these things are supposed to happen in. And so it was like, holy shit, all bets are off. This could happen next door to me.
Right.
And I think that's one thing. A lot of people like the Rob Zombie movie, and I'm not going to bash on it, but that was what was missing from that film. It wasn't too hard to believe that Michael Myers could grow up to butcher somebody, but that wasn't the point. That made it too easy. The whole point about this film is you didn't know why somebody from that neighborhood did that, and that's what made it scary.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Well, and there's so much, horror really, up until, this point or even into the 70s, I think, Psycho was the first movie that kind of said, don't fear Dracula and the Wolfman and Frankenstein's monster, you need to fear the guy next door. It was, it made the suburban area, which is supposed to be very safe and friendly and, conservative, it turned it into a place where nightmares happen. And I think, too, every little community has their haunted house. And the Myers house was, Yep, down the road there's the palm trees. So, yeah, I think this movie brought horror literally home. So, let me ask you, Stingray. Do you remember the first time you saw Halloween and what impact did it have on you?
Well, I kind of like Mike. I saw quite a few of the other films first, so it was not until I got older that I really appreciated this film for what it was, for what it is. So. was probably in my 20s before I actually appreciated it, for what a landmark horror film it is.
Yeah. And here we are in front of the old Myers house with Laurie and oh goodness, what's the boy's name?
Tommy Doyle.
Tommy Doyle. Brian Andrews.
And Jamie Lee. Yeah, Brian Andrew. And Jamie Lee looking young and fresh and beautiful. I mean, who wouldn't want to stalk her and kill anybody who gets in their way?
Right. I just want to say this is the scene that people... Okay, the whole brother-sister thing didn't happen until part 2. Okay, so...
Right.
And people forget that. And when this movie came out, it was just... She shows up at the Myers house. That's why he stalks her. She's dropping off a key. And so... And, the whole brother-sister thing, I really think it was the demise of the series. Once Carpenter did that, which I got to tell you was a really great twist. I mean, I think everybody liked it when it happened, but the inherent problem, the flaws it caused the series, and I think Carpenter was probably pissed off that he had to do something like that, because the story had been told in the first movie. Was like, who is this guy? What is he? Why is he after Laurie? All of these questions are sort of not answered, which was totally okay by the end of the movie.
Right.
And so, yeah, so I think people forget that Michael is really not her brother in the original movie. And I'm surprised at that. It's kind of like people when they think of Friday the 13th, they think, oh, Jason's the killer, but he wasn't in the first movie. So I think there's a lot of... I think people need to go back and watch this movie and forget about all the other movies. Just see this for what it is.
I tried to do that anyway.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they tried to do that anyway.
Yeah. And then when Zombie remade the movie, he went right back to the brother-sister thing. And I thought, you had this really great opportunity to not get stuck in that trap again. And that was the storyline. And it's almost like, was it insisted upon? I don't know. I don't know that answer. If the studio wanted that to be, but they could have very easily have started all over with Michael and some girl that drops a key off at the house, and then gone in another direction. And instead, they go right back to the thing that, this is why in part 4 they have to invent, a niece, and part 6 he has to have sex with her, and it's just it gets so crazy, and you hate it. By the way, by the end of the series, you hate the series because you're like, this can't be happening.
Right.
I like that in this movie. It makes it better. Yo, son, you.
Carpenter didn't want to do a sequel. He was wanting to move on and do The Fog, but they forced him to come back and write it. So I think he just wanted to end it because he planned on, with Halloween 3, going on to different stories every year.
Yeah.
But if you notice in this film, the one girl that Michael's really following the most is Annie, because she's the one that yells at him when he drives by. Speed kills, and he slams on his brake, and stops, and then he goes to Annie's and kills her first, and then Laurie just happens to go over to the house, and that's when he starts chasing her. He doesn't actually go after Laurie until she goes to that house.
Right.
Well, Annie, I think Annie clearly reminded him of his sister, because he took the sister's headstone, which we'll see shortly. He took the sister's headstone and put it at Laurie's dead body. So I think that, or not Laurie, but Annie.
Yeah, and the whole time, what I love about this movie is you have this girl who is seeing the boogeyman all day long. She's seeing him outside the window. She's seeing him in the clothesline. And yet she's babysitting a boy who she's telling the boogeyman doesn't exist. So you've got this really fine line, she's telling him that he doesn't exist, but she's been seeing him all day long. And it works. It really works, and you feel like this is a very weird fairy tale, and you don't know what the guy's doing. You really don't know what his intentions are. And so when every other movie comes out, he's after Laurie. And so it's almost like in this movie, you really don't start putting the pieces together right away, because you're right. He's chasing Annie. He's stalking Annie. And then at one point, he's stalking Tommy outside the school. Like he's following little Tommy after his pumpkin. So you really don't know what's going on. And you're putting pieces together little by little. But in part 4, he's after the niece because the trailer told you so. There's very little left to your imagination by that point. So you know, it's like I love the Halloween movies. Don't get me wrong. I love that they've existed and everything, but kind of little part of me wishes that they just made the first movie and that was it. You know, because it would just be this fantastic movie that could never be ruined. You know.
And you see it with all the series. I mean, once they get to a certain point, you know, I mean, look at Friday the 13th. They put Jason in space. You know, Pinhead ended up in space. You know, so you know, it's like at some point they have to make these. They don't jump the shark. They like shoot the shark out of a cannon.
Exactly.
So,
you know, the only thing that was interesting, the only idea that was interesting was Freddy versus Jason was to merge the series. You know, because I thought, well, that was innovative. My problem with that movie was it was made in the wrong decade. Like, if it was made in, like, 1989, you know, it would have been, like, the greatest movie ever made, you know, at least a horror film. But they waited so long. Yeah. I have a story about that, actually. After the success of Freddy vs. Jason, Mustafa Akkad called me and said the studio wanted to do a Michael versus Pinhead movie.
Right.
And he was on the phone with me, and he's like, listen, you know, I don't want this to happen. You know, he was like, but, you know, Miramax had a lot of power back then because, let's face it, you know, they were the studio. They got what they wanted, and so I always got the impression if they wanted Trancas films cut out of the picture, they would gladly have found a way to do it. But Mustafa owned the copyright, so they had to kind of deal with him. And I put a poll on HalloweenMovies.com, and somebody was rigging it because it got a lot of votes for yes to Michael versus Pinhead. And I was like, I could not. I was like, what the hell? But that was the direction it was going in. That was going to be the next movie. And I'm glad they didn't do that because I think it just. Michael didn't need that. You know, I think Freddy had run its course. Jason ran its course. Michael was still strong. He was still viable, and people still tuned in just to see a Halloween movie. So I'm glad they didn't do that.
And Michael and Pinhead, they inhabit two very different cinematic worlds. I just don't see how they could, how that could. I mean, I don't think Freddy versus Jason worked.
Really?
I definitely, yeah, not a big fan of that one. I definitely don't see Michael versus Pinhead working.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
Well, it depends who does it. I think it could turn out halfway decent.
But didn't Carpenter admit that, you know, didn't Carpenter admit that the whole idea of Laurie being Michael's brother was, he attributed that to a long night of riding and drinking, and that was the best he could come up with?
He was trying to force a story, yeah. And just, well, hell, that sounds good, whatever.
Right. And think about that. It's like the first movie was so not that. The first movie was inspired. The first movie was like young people. I think John Carpenter was like 30. Everyone else was younger than him. Like they you know. And then it gets all this success. Universal gives him a little money and says make another movie, and he doesn't want to. I think that's the difference between a great movie, an indie movie being made with passion, and you know the cash cow. The problems of the cash cow happening when they go to make the sequel, you know.
Exactly.
It's just a picture of how it goes wrong.
We just saw Annie scream at Michael in the station wagon. And now he's like, screw that Laurie chick. I want this dark-haired girl. She's got some fire.
Yeah.
It's a great scene.
Yeah.
And another reason
James, let me ask.
The original versus the zombie. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to ask James, do you remember the first time you saw the original Halloween and what impact it had on you?
Yeah, this is my first viewing actually right now.
Enjoy.
No, I do remember I seen Halloween 4 in the theater. That was my intro to Halloween, and I remember loving the movie so much. And just like everybody else has said, went back and started renting the VHSs and fell in love with. I was a huge Friday the 13th fan, so it was just a no-brainer to start liking other slasher films, and this one fell in and eventually took over for Friday the 13th for me. It's been my favorite slasher series since.
Well, what do you guys think elevates Halloween above like a Friday the 13th or like an 80s slasher movie like The Prowler or you know, any of the litany of slasher movies that came out that were sort of copycats of Halloween?
The setting, the characters are very well written. The situation is very well presented. Michael is one of those guys that fits into a crowd. On Halloween, you wouldn't be able to tell him from anybody else, which is a big problem I have with the zombie films, is that, you know, he made Michael Myers like 7 feet freaking tall, that you wouldn't be able to miss him. The whole point in the original was that he was just a regular guy that blended in. You wouldn't be able to see it coming. And a lot of the other films kind of made their killers stand out a little too much.
That's why it's so scary.
Well, and we're watching, you know, one thing that Carpenter did so well was you forget the fact that, you know, it's Michael Myers is just a guy. He truly becomes the shape, and he's everywhere. He's in the car, he's behind the bush, he's in the backyard. He really, right off the bat, just creates this omnipresent, you know, he is the boogeyman kind of thing. He's everywhere. He could be behind every corner, in every dark room. He's everywhere.
I think the big thing about these films up until about the fourth one is just the people making these films had a simple love for storytelling and a love for the horror genre, and the rest of them are just cashing in. It's just like they're trying to, how do we make some quick money? Oh, let's make a slasher film. They had no idea this would fucking take off. Halloween.
Well, you know, Friday the 13th, you know, Sean Cunningham readily admits he didn't have a movie. All he had was a title. All he had was, he put an ad in Variety to raise money for, you know, so from a producing standpoint, it's very smart. He made millions of dollars. But it wasn't inspired. The movie turned out to be, you know, a lot of fun and everything, but, you know, I mean, The Babysitter Murders, that was the original title of the movie. And so it found itself, you know, and they used the latest, greatest technology, and they had Dean Cundy. I mean, one of the things that I think makes Halloween so incredible is they had Dean Cundy, who is a genius.
Right.
And I've interviewed a lot of people in the Halloween series. I was nervous interviewing him, and I realized then that it was because he's Halloween to me, as much as John Carpenter is. Dean Cundy, you know, created that look. I mean, it's like it doesn't look like anything else. It creates a world that is timeless and anywhere USA. And so
exactly,
Dean Cundy's a huge part of why that movie is successful.
You look at some of John Carpenter's best films, and you'll see that his DP is Cundy. I mean, they worked so well together. They were a hell of a team.
Yeah, they were. I totally agree.
Well, let's talk about the casting of Jamie Lee Curtis, because I think, you know, you can see a bit of a Psycho influence in here. So I mean, was the casting purely because they thought she was a good actress, or because she had that, you know, she was Janet Leigh's daughter?
I think that it was both. I think it was both. Yeah, I think it was both. I mean, you know, I've heard people say that they don't like the acting in Halloween, in the original Halloween. I've heard people say, oh, it's kind of subpar. But I think I disagree. I think PJ Souls is great. She is Linda. You know, you get Linda in 3 seconds when she's like totally this, totally. I mean, you know, she's Annie. You know, it's like, yeah, maybe the acting's not amazing, but they are those characters, and I think Jamie Lee had something like she's beautiful, but she's not. I guess what's the word? I mean,
she was kind of a girl next door kind of thing, you know.
She wasn't like drop dead gorgeous. You know, sex symbol. That's not how and none of them were. They were all cute, but they weren't portrayed as, you know, I think in a lot of horror movies now, the recipe turned into lots of really cute, underdressed teenagers getting killed by some horny killer. You know, that's kind of the recipe. But Halloween wasn't that. It was these 3 teenagers. So yeah, I think that's what I'm trying to say. Is the acting. And because to me, I think the most important thing in a horror movie is the acting. You have to be able to sell it. Like if you're screaming and for your life, you have to be able to make it believable. Not because you know you're not in any harm at all, and then you're not in harm's way at all. So I think they all pulled it, especially Donald Pleasance. He's my favorite character in the whole movie. I mean, I love Michael Myers, but I think I really relate to this man's quest to sort of kill the beast that he feels responsible for. You know, I just love Donald Pleasence, and I think his accent brought a lot to the film too. Everything he said just had more weight, I think, because of that really great accent of his.
Oh, absolutely.
They were like, the cast were like real people that you would see in your neighborhood. They weren't. Later on, it became about fake boobs and peroxide, but these women look real. And
Right.
as compared to what, Gone with the Wind, or the Cheerleader Massacre or whatever. I mean, what are you gauging the acting against? I mean, for a horror film of this nature, the acting is way above average.
Right.
Yeah, and they all three seemed very natural to me. They all seemed believable as young women, and I think a lot of that can be attributed to the fact that Deborah Hill wrote the female characters. Carpenter wrote about the Shape and Donald Pleasence's character and the Devil's Eyes, while she focused more on the girls and that dialogue, and that's why I think it comes off more natural.
Yeah. Was it like the dialogue in the car about going to the prom and all that stuff?
Yeah.
It's like that. Deborah Hill's like, I wrote that stuff. But another thing I want to say about this movie is all the other movies forget that he was a total prankster. Michael. Remember that scene where he drops the flower pot? Annie's putting butter on the popcorn or whatever, and he drops the flower pot. The scene with Bob with the sheet over him and the glasses, moving the headstone. I mean, he's a prankster. He's getting off. I mean, that's what was so much fun. You were like, what is this guy doing the whole time? You just don't know, but you're enjoying this amazing fun ride because that's what it was. And when you cut to Halloween 2. There's none of that. There was no pranks. It was like walking like a robot through the hospital. I love Halloween 2. I could watch it. I love it. But it compared to Halloween 1, they lost a lot of the character, the personality that Michael had. And that, I just wish they made another movie with him putting the sheet on him again. It just makes so much fun for so much fun.
And I think Halloween 2 feels, and I love Halloween 2, but Halloween 2 I think you could fit it in with it feels very sequel. And I know it's a sequel, but it's got that feel of sequels at the time, or movies that were coming out at the time that were trying to be Halloween, but they were throwing in more gore, nudity, bigger body count, faster pace. That's how Halloween 2 kind of feels to me. And I love Halloween 2. But I mean, it's got a lot of those trappings that, were rife in slasher movies at the time.
I've heard people complain about Halloween 2, how there's no story development, no character development. Well, Halloween 2 is basically an extension of Halloween's third act. You edit them together, you get one movie. All the characters have been developed, they've been established, all the motives have been established. It's just a continuation of the end of the original film. So there really wasn't a whole lot left to develop.
Right.
And by then, he had been shot 6 times. It's possible that whether he died or not, maybe the prankster part of it, maybe that's why it went away. He just became more of a machine, like the Great White Shark type thing, where he was just on a mission at that point, because that's when they had changed it over to that being his sister and all that kind of stuff. And like you said, that may have damaged the sequel. Maybe if they hadn't have done that, there would have been more of what was in the original.
Right.
It gave him one motivation. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say we're in the car pulling up to the hardware store where Michael allegedly stole rope, masks, and knives. After
token on the reefer.
Token on the reefer. Listening to Blue Oyster Cult, which I've always loved that touch of the Blue Oyster Cult. Don't Fear the Reaper song. There, always loved that. But let me ask you, Anthony, do you remember the first time you saw the original Halloween, and what impact did it have on you?
Yeah, oh my God. The first time I saw it, it was on TV. I was, I think, 10 years old. 12. I was 11 years old in 1980 or 81. It was on TV, and it was the first time it was on TV. And I just watched it, and I remembered it like I was transfixed. I was transported to this other world. I don't know why I loved it so much. And I remember the next day in school, I was describing Annie's death to everybody. I was like, he was trying to kill her. He was like choking her, and she wouldn't die. Because if you watch that scene over, I mean, it's like it takes her a while for her to like, he's choking her and choking her and choking her, and then he slashes her neck. And I remember it as a kid. I have this memory of me talking to all these kids the next day, like that was the scene I kept talking about, and it was weird because I don't know what it was, and I felt so alone for years because I thought, why am I so obsessed with this movie? You know, and it wasn't until the internet happened that I realized that I wasn't the only one. And then, you know, Scream, Kevin Williamson writes a movie as like an homage to Halloween. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. I'm not the only one. So what I was seeing in it was the beauty that all you guys see in it, you know, and I just didn't realize that way back when. And my mom used to be like, my mom loves horror movies. She used to take it. She took me to Nightmare on Elm Street, and she took me to Halloween 2 because I begged to see Halloween 2. But she was always like, why do you love Halloween so much? So I kind of got this complex about it as a young kid. But yeah, it really affected me. I think because it's just so simple. It's just so simple. There's nothing complicated about it. And I love its simplicity.
Right, yeah.
You were just talking
it's
about
very...
those. Go ahead. I was just going to point out something. I was going to say that scene where they pull up and he tells them that he stole some knives and rope, and then there's a lot going on in that scene. Dr. Loomis pulls up. He gets out, talks to the sheriff, and in the background, as the sheriff walks away, Michael drives by right behind him. Now, had Dr. Loomis turned around right at that moment, he would have seen the car and would have seen Michael following Annie and Laurie. I love the way Carpenter stacks information in his scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to point that out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and he, you know, with the wide Panavision camera, you know, he can stuff a lot into that frame. And, you know, there's so much, and I know he did this on purpose, yet there's something obstructing the frame that Michael could be hiding behind, or a dark room in the background where Michael could be. So I mean, there was always that, you know, that, like I said, that omnipresent kind of aspect. You don't know where he's at. He could be anywhere. He's not human. He's a force of nature. He is the boogeyman. I mean, they really... You forget that it's just a guy with mental health problems who killed his sister when he was a little kid.
That's another thing that sets this movie apart from other slasher films is the way the scenes are composed, the lighting, the use of blue light here and there. By, you know, we talked about Cundy earlier. It's just so striking, just the way the houses are lit and the way the people are lit and the blue light and the way the scenes are composed. It's just, there's so much going on. It's just a visual.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that's why filmmakers like this movie so much. It doesn't have just a lot of horror fans. There's a lot of filmmaker horror fans to this movie, because when we were doing 25 Years of Terror, we started talking about, well, what is Michael Myers? You know, Jason is a hockey mask and a machete in the woods, and that's it. But Michael Myers is not just a guy in a mask. It's lighting. He's a composite of a great mask, but great lighting to make that mask look great. It's the music. It's Carpenter's, where does he put him? So he's sort of like a cinematic assemblage, and it doesn't work. Like one component of it doesn't work without the other components. You know, when you play that music with Michael there, it sort of synergistically makes it better. So you can't just put Michael in a movie and light it poorly and not have the music. And so I think that's why filmmakers like it.
Well, didn't this movie even in the early screenings, didn't it even flop when they didn't have music attached to it? I think
Carpenter said that. He said that in the screenings without the music, people were like, it's not that scary. You know, I mean, when you add the music to it, you know, talk about an example of how music can transform a film. That's probably one of the greatest film scores ever written. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would put it right up there with Jaws. I mean, it's like the same thing with Jaws. You don't need to see Jaws. You just hear the music and know he's nearby. You don't need to see Michael. You just hear the music and know that he's nearby too.
Yeah.
We were talking about the lighting. There's one scene later in the film when Annie's at the house and Michael comes out of the shadows out of that room, and the mask is. Cundy talks about where he just slowly turned the light up to reveal the mask behind her. There's little scenes like that are still effective, and there's not a lot of gore. There's not a lot of language or nudity or whatever. It's just really effective photography, lighting, and acting, and just I don't know.
It doesn't need all that.
I mean, if this movie were made today, like for instance, if they made this movie today, I don't think it would have the same impact. I mean, it wouldn't look the same, you know. But as I think audiences now, we've seen everything. We've seen so much. We've seen so much violence, and you know, and so back when this was released, it was a whole different time, and I think everything was a lot slower too, you know, and our attention spans weren't like this big. So Carpenter had time to draw you in. It's a slow burn. That's what it is. It's a slow burn movie, and you know, I always think like when the shit hits the fan at the end, when you know the body starts dropping, you know, like Laurie realizes there's a problem. It goes from 0 to 60, just really fast, and you know, but by the time it gets there, it's just long, and you know, it's a slow burn movie, and I love that. And so I don't think it would work today, but back in '78, it was just the right time.
And that's very true, because there's a lot of people that'll tell you that the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original Alien, and the original Halloween are boring films that nothing ever happens till the last half hour.
And
that's how it used to be. It's called character development, story development, and then the payoff. Right. You know, but they're so used to, you know, the microwave generation. They want something every 5 seconds, or they can't. You know, they want flashing lights and little things going on. So you know, that's not what it's supposed to be. But that's modern.
Sorry, I apologize for this, Mike. My bad.
Oh, go ahead.
It's all your fault.
Here's the classic Donald Pleasance. He had the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes monologue.
And who here doesn't know every single word? I mean, that's me. Like, I can repeat it in my head as he's doing it. It's like,
yeah.
And that's another thing.
I can't not say it loud without a fake, horrible British accent. He had the devil's eyes. You know, it just comes out that way.
John Carpenter had the good sense to listen to, you know, Donald Pleasance when he was doing the dialogue, because he would question the dialogue. You know, how am I supposed to say this? You want me to say it this way or that way? And John Carpenter would pick Donald's way because that would be the best way to hear it. And it was good that he didn't have an ego, and he was able to understand that a true thespian was schooling him.
You know, and if you just read this, if you just read the word, I could imagine Donald Pleasance reading the words to that little speech, saying, "Are you really want me to say this?" I mean, it's so dramatic. It's so like the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes, and you know, it's and I could see probably Donald saying, "I don't know how to play this." I mean, you know, I could see him struggling with it as an actor. But I think Carpenter did, like you had said, he gave a lot of the actors free rein to sort of bring what they wanted. Like PJ injected a slew more of totalies than was written in the script, apparently. So he had trust.
And Donald Pleasance was not the first choice. I mean, it was Christopher Lee and.
I'm so glad they didn't. It would have been a whole different movie. It would have been successful probably. I just can't in my mind picture it. Can you guys?
Well, no. At this point, no. But I actually read that Christopher Lee said one of the biggest regrets of his career was that he did not accept this role.
Yeah. That's after all the money comes in.
Exactly. Yeah. Him thinking, well, crap, I could still be making those movies.
He'd still be making them today.
Yeah. But let's talk about the look of Michael Myers and how they put that look together. And I mean, and everybody knows this. It's a William Shatner. It's a modified William Shatner mask. And I'd always heard that William Shatner sued at one point because of using his likeness without his say-so. Is that a true story? Or is that just kind of a rumor?
You know, I think it's a rumor. I think Trancas Films was afraid of being sued. I think they're always afraid to say it was a William Shatner mask publicly because they're taking someone's likeness and it's become this icon. You know, come on, this is how much money was made on Halloween. But I think there was a concern, but I don't think he ever actually sued.
No, but that's why the masks in 4 and 5 were so bad, because they were so freaked out about being sued that they changed it. And of course, when they changed it, they changed it too much. And I think that's a big reason why those films are lesser films, that they just lost the look. But I thought Michael's look in the movie was just a look of convenience. You know, he kills the mechanic, he takes his coveralls, he breaks into the store, he just grabs a random mask. He wasn't really putting any thought into what he was looking like. He grabbed some clothes, whatever was available, he grabbed the mask, put it on. He wasn't like, oh, I'm going to scare him with this mask. He just put it on and took off.
I think there's something really, because and you mentioned this earlier, Anthony, that he he kind of likes to toy with his victims. He understands it's Halloween, and Halloween's all about trick or treat and scares, and so yeah, I'm going to put a mask on because it's Halloween. I could actually hide more in a mask, in public.
Exactly.
So I can. I can.
There's a sense of there's a personality. There's a sense of humor in his. He's almost he's enjoying it. Whereas in Halloween 2, you really don't know what's going on. It's not enough to say, look. What I love about Michael Myers is you really don't know, but you can't leave him a complete unknown. You've got to show some kind of personality, some kind of motive, something. Because it's too easy to be like, well, the audience. Let's not tell the audience anything. Like, why in Halloween 2 is he a complete zombie as opposed to the first movie? Why? It's like if you splice the two movies together, and I've seen that. There have been cuts. People have put the two movies together. It's a different Michael. By the time, and so I just wonder why that happened. And there are reasons why. I mean, Rick Rosenthal had a different vision, and But there's a flavor to his personality that was just lost in the other movies. Even in Halloween 4, Halloween 5, he's just a killing machine. Don't get me wrong, I love to watch them, but it's not the same Michael to me.
Exactly.
And I thought they matched the physicality of him well with Dick Warlock. Going from the first movie to the second movie, but in 5 and 6, his physicality is way different. He just physically doesn't look like Michael Myers. And then, of course, in Rob Zombies, he's a freaking giant. But there's a scene just where he killed the German Shepherd. Now, that was kind of where you got the idea of how powerful this guy was. Because a German Shepherd is a big, powerful dog that can take down a human, a full-grown man. He just picks the dog up and squeezes it to death. Thinking, holy shit, this guy's about 5'10", and he just killed the German Shepherd with his bare hands. That's like, wow. If you see, the 7-foot guy do that, that's not as overwhelming. It's not as powerful of a moment.
Exactly, and then when he picks up Bob later and puts against the wall. I mean, so Carpenter's implying there's something little, and that's what I mean. There's there's information you're starting to figure out. He's not full on can you pick up your car, but he's got a strength to him. Plus he's probably eating the dog, right? Aren't they saying like there's a dead dog, and then it's like when they go into the house and it's like he got hungry.
Yeah.
So you're starting to learn what this guy is doing. He feels like a real guy. I think he's a real guy, but he's a little more powerful than a real guy. So that's why he's so great. He's not one note. As I said, Jason with a machete, one note. Not Michael.
Right. Well, let me tell you guys about the first time I saw Halloween. Then I want to ask you about the convention, Anthony. I actually saw Halloween and Halloween 2 back to back when I was a little kid with my mother, and Halloween. My mother's not a horror fan, but Halloween was kind of a crossover movie. Horror fans liked it, and just everybody liked it. So I mean, she liked it because it was a good, tense, suspenseful movie. But anyway, we watched Halloween and Halloween 2 back to back. And the only thing that really freaked me out was in part 2, where the guy gets hit by the van and pinned against the cop car and burns alive. That part freaked me out. Nothing else really freaked me out. That's the part that I remember. Anyway, that night we're going to bed, and I'm like, Mom, I'm too scared. Can I sleep with you? And she's like, sure, whatever. So anyway. This was like 2 weeks ago. Keep in mind, this was like 2 weeks ago. So anyway, we had this big, giant, fat, yellow cat named Morris. And sometime in the middle of the night, the cat jumps up on the bed on my mother's legs. My mother grabs me and screams because she thinks it's Michael Myers coming to get her. And her story is she grabbed me, pulled me to her, and screamed in my ear as loud as she could. I didn't budge. I didn't stir. I slept right through it all. So that was the first time I saw Halloween. So yeah.
Amazing. By the way, that scene in Halloween 2 where the kid gets hit by the car, I love how there's absolutely no ramification for that. Like, Donald Pleasance isn't arrested immediately for,
Right.
like, causing someone to die. Like, there's no investigation. Like, they look at his teeth, but that's it. The kid's dead, and, there's no problem at all for Donald Pleasance.
Yeah.
Well, by that time, Loomis was so rattled, he was about to open fire into a crowd of people.
Right.
The had to actually grab his arm and prevent him from shooting his gun. And the funny bit of trivia is that the guy driving the cop car that kills that kid is Dick Warlock, who was Michael Myers in that film. So Michael still killed the guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I
love that. I love that about Loomis's character, is that he really is almost as crazy as Michael. He's obsessed, and I do like that about his character as we move through the sequels. By the time he gets to part 6, he's a madman, and in part 5 he's like carrying Daniel Harris, and he's like, "Do you want the girl? Do you want the little girl?" He's a madman. But I love that about his character. I mean, because he had a place to go. He wasn't this one character. He had an arc. And it was almost like Michael was driving him crazy. I loved it. I love that about his character.
I think it was in your documentary where he was referred to as the Captain Ahab of horror films.
Yeah.
And Myers was the Great White Whale.
Yep. It's great. It's such great storytelling. There's a lot of problems, I think, with the storytelling in the series. But yeah.
Especially when you get into the druids and when they're trying to tie in part 3 and they get the Thorn crap going on, it's like, okay.
Yeah.
But let me ask you about the convention, Halloween Returns to Haddonfield. What was sort of the impetus of you wanting to do that convention?
Okay. Well, I had always wanted to do a convention. In my back of my mind, I had always wanted to attend a Halloween-themed convention. But it wasn't until the Halloween. This was before I was hired to be their webmaster. Brian Martin, who was their previous webmaster, couldn't cover Halloween Resurrection because Brian lived in, I think he lived in Pennsylvania or North Carolina, and he knew that I ran this Myers Museum website, and so he called me and said, "Hey, can you go?" Because I lived in San Diego at the time, and he said, "Can you go up to LA and go to the premiere and write up a premiere article for Halloween movies?" And I said, "Yeah." So I went and I did that, and I hated the movie. I just couldn't believe how bad it was. But what happened was we gave away tickets for we gave away tickets on the website for people to attend, fans to attend the Halloween 8 premiere, and one guy that showed up, his name was Paul. He won tickets. He called me the next day and said, "Hey, I had a blast at the premiere. What do you think of doing a Halloween convention?" And I was like, "I've always wanted to do one." So now I had this sort of partner in crime that was just as excited as I to create a Halloween convention. And so we started making phone calls. We called Pasadena and the town hall and everything, and we just literally just started putting it in motion. And that's how it started. And what I thought was going to be 100 people in a ballroom, like one ballroom in a hotel, turned into 3,000 people that filled the Pasadena Convention Center. So it grew. It just went from this small event over the course of a year to this enormous event, and so that's what happened. And it was a first. I mean, I've got to tell you, there have been panel discussions at Fangoria, Chiller, and all that, where maybe a couple of the Michaels were there, but this was the first all Halloween event. So it was very exciting. Every day was exciting. I mean, it was now I've been to the 30th. Which was 5 years later. I was asked to organize it. I said no because it takes a year to do something like that. And I went to the 35th, and they're not the same. I mean, I'm not putting them down, but the spirit of it, the magic of it, I didn't feel was there. You got Jamie Lee Curtis to attend Halloween. No, not at our event. No. We tried, we tried, and it just didn't work. And nobody expected her to attend, and Mustafa Khan couldn't even get her there, and yeah.
Well, that's kind of the bad thing about modern conventions, that they're becoming a huge cash grab. Like, it was just announced today that Kane Hodder's doing a full Jason appearance. It's $199.
That was coming, man. As soon as Robert Englund did it. Now they're all going to do it.
It wasn't a surprise, but damn, the money they're asking is just ridiculous. It's like it takes all the fun and spirit right out of it. It all just becomes, well, that's a greedy thing to do.
We have the convention agents to blame for that. All the guys that represent all the talent. When I did my event, for instance, Tawny Moyer, she's the nurse in Halloween 2. She gets the one that gets the scalpel and lifted up, and her clogs fall off. I remember her calling me the day before the event, and she had been booked. We had booked her, and she said, "Do you honestly think people are going to want to meet me? Because I don't want to show up and be embarrassed. I don't want to sit there." And I said, "Tawny, I said, you have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. You're going to be a rock star for the weekend, you know." Gloria Gifford, the same thing. She had never done. She's the Nurse Alves in Halloween 2. She had never done a convention before, so there was a lot of trepidation. And, you know, now those actors are at events all the time charging $20, $30, $40 for this and that. So they've been groomed by all the convention bookies to make a lot of money. And, you know, all four of as long as the fans are still going to spend money, why not, you know? Right. So I sat next to PJ at the 35th anniversary. I sat right next to her, and I watched fan after fan after fan after fan happily give her money and hug her and kiss her and take pictures with her, you know. So I think it's a great thing. I think the marketplace, the convention marketplace is a great thing. But I think if I were to set out to do my convention now, I would have a really hard time pulling off what we pulled off in 2003.
Right. I was actually going to ask you, do you have any intentions of ever doing another convention like that, or would you do another convention like that?
No. No. It's way too much work. I have this. I'm so busy now doing other. It takes a year out of your life. At least it did for me. And there's a million things to do. And there's a lot of obligation. Like I never really mentioned this before, but in order to secure a space like the Pasadena Convention Center, you have to sign contracts with the local hotels that you'll sell enough tickets to fill the hotel rooms. And I remember I drove up from San Diego and I signed 2 contracts that essentially said if the hotels don't fill, I owe them money. I owe them the money that ticket holders would have spent renting the rooms. And I remember driving back like a zombie back home going like, what the fuck did I just do? Like, I'm getting my life is ruined. You know, so it was very stressful, and it was just like there was a lot of things that happened during that event that were very stressful as well. So I don't know now if I had kept doing it like year after year, like these guys that put together Horror Hound every year and like Chiller and stuff. If it's on like a schedule and they worked out all the kinks, but it was a one and only thing for me that was highly stressful. So no.
We've had Jeff Waldridge on the show before, who's the former promoter of the Scarefest convention here in Lexington, Kentucky, and I mean he told us just horror stories, and I mean it sounds like it's a huge pain in the ass to organize and promote these things. But
I had people actually got my house. I had people surround my house. I had Halloween fans. Not surround my house, but we had 2 entrances, and it was midnight. They were the convention had a Halloween 9 contest where we were trying to give somebody a walk-on role in the Halloween 9, which became the remake. Okay, but at that time they were going to do Halloween 9, and we had a cutoff of midnight on a certain day to submit your video. And like a stupid asshole, I put my address online on Halloween, Halloween movies, thinking I was just like, no one's gonna stalk me or whatever. And midnight on that day, I was like in bed, and I hear this banging on my door, and I'm like, who the hell is that? And I go looking, and they thought a drug dealer lived in the house because. I'm like, what do these people want from me? And they were on I had these sliding glass doors. They were on 2 guys were on the sliding glass doors. The other 2 guys were outside my front door, and I'm in my my place going like, what the hell's happening? You know. Wow. So yeah, it was just there was a lot of things that happened. It was very stressful. So.
Well, the girl that won that walk-on role, she's a very memorable part of the documentary. Very memorable part of the documentary. We have a question from Joseph Perdue via Twitter to Anthony. Who was the best and worst person from the Halloween franchise you met?
The best and more. Do they have to be the same person? No. The best person by far is PJ. We've become friends. She's truly grateful for her fans, and she's not jaded, and she's giving, caring, and I can't say enough positive things about PJ. She's amazing. I love her so much. Worst, I don't know if I should say names.
Well, here we go, baby. Go for it.
Right.
How about most difficult? Let's not say worst. Let's say most difficult.
Most difficult.
Let's
put it this way. I won't say names, but I'll tell you one of the nurses in Halloween 2 gave me a really hard time on something. Let's say that. I'm not gonna like. I don't want. I mean, I don't want to put somebody down. I mean, they're delightful people, but you know, when money's involved and things can sometimes be a problem. So
right.
Yeah.
Right. Money can expose his true nature.
Right.
Fair enough. Yeah, if you guys have any questions for us or for Anthony, tweet those to us at TSF Nation or leave them in the comment section of the video, and we'll try and get around to them sooner or later.
Well, there was another question asking him whether or not he was working on another documentary more like Crystal Lake Memories or the Never Sleep Again style for Halloween.
No. I mean, I look at it this way, you know, like my Halloween involvement is kind of, I've done it, you know. Right after 25 Years of Terror, they released Halloween again in theaters. It was in limited release. I think it was National Cinemedia, and they had this, you know, limited screening, and they've since done a limited screening. But right after 25 Years of Terror came out, I wrote and produced and directed a 15-minute mini documentary on the making of Halloween that screened before that the movie in limited release in theaters. And so, you know, I've told the story of Halloween, and I just feel like, you know, those epic documentaries that are like 4 hours long are a lot of fun, but I really don't think the series needs it. It's been very well documented. A lot of the, you know, all of the DVDs have ample bonus content on there, lots of commentaries and stuff. So if it's just the act of putting it all together, you know, I don't want to be the person to do that just because I feel like I've done it, and the information's already there. It's very well documented. At the time we did 25 Years of Terror, it wasn't very well documented. You know, that's why I wouldn't want to do a Saw retrospective, because, you know, all those movies have 3 hours of bonus features and commentaries and everything. So no. Right. I know there was a book that was supposed to be written, you know, on Halloween.
Yeah, we actually had Justin Beam on the show last Halloween, and I was actually talking to him just the other day, and I reckon the book is just locked up in rights issues, and, you know, there's just, at this point, there's no release date. So, I mean, that's unfortunate, but yeah.
Yeah. I think a book would be the next logical thing. I mean, you know, to really document it, and, you know, you have a lot more space in a book too. I mean, in a like a 90-minute documentary, like, for instance, we have like 80 interviewees in a 90-minute documentary. Just do the math. Not everyone gets a lot of screen time, but in a book, you can, you know, page after page after page, you could do extended interviews and stuff. So I'd rather see a book than a 4-hour documentary.
Yeah. Let me ask you, did either working on the site or working on the documentary, did you have any conversations with John Carpenter about interviews or about coming to, you know, the convention or anything to that respect?
Well, no, and we tried to get him to the convention, and his people said no. They, I've met John Carpenter a couple of times, but he never met me. You know, it was always at like autograph signings or something like that. But his presence is in our documentary. We were able to use his footage from previous, you know, documentaries. But yeah, you have to remember, like, at the time that I made this, you know, I remember Tommy Lee Wallace going, who are you guys? What do you do? A Halloween convention? What are you talking about? So I kind of felt like we were making our own little Halloween. Like, it was a first in its own way. And we had to do a lot of explaining to people. And so there was a lot of trepidation. When like Nancy Loomis didn't come to our convention. But after we did our convention and we found her and I interviewed her at Mustafa Akkad's office, I was like, where have you been all these years? You know, and she said, I didn't know. She's like, I didn't know that these events were happening. And I found that really hard to believe, but she looked at me and, like, in all sincerity, it was like, I had no idea that I could go to an event where people actually wanted to meet me and get autographs and pay me, and, you know. So it was very difficult. Being the first was very difficult. You know. Also, Joe Wolf was alive. Do you guys remember Joe Wolf? He was one of the producers.
Oh, yeah.
You know, people don't know this, but Joe and Mustafa were in a horrible legal battle. They were going to court at the time the convention happened. And I remember the day of the event, I didn't know if they were going to have to be in court that day. I didn't know if I was going to have to go out and tell the audience, Mustafa Akkad's not coming today because he's in court. You know, so, and had I known that all these producers hated each other and the actors had problems with each other, I just wouldn't have put the event together. I just would have been like, are you kidding me? Because as a fan, I thought everybody, you know, everybody loves each other. I don't know. I just thought, like, John Carpenter loved Mustafa Akkad. I had no idea they had a falling out, you know. My one interaction with Deborah Hill was horrible when I called her. She declined to come to the convention, and it shocked me because PJ agreed, Mustafa Akkad agreed, you know, all these people agreed to come, and she declined. So I called her office one night, hoping to leave a message. I was just going to leave a message, like, on a Friday night at 6 o'clock. And she answered the phone, and I was like, is this Deborah? And she's like, yes. And I go, hey, it's Anthony Masi. And she's like, why do you people keep hounding me? She's like, I told you I don't want to be there. Mustafa's been ripping us off for years. And I was, like, stunned. I was like, what? You know, I didn't know all this, and I think it was an asset for me to be so naive to all of the discord between the producers, and otherwise I would have been like, there'd be no way to bring all these people together. So I'm glad I didn't know, actually.
Right, yeah.
I know we're supposed to be talking about the movie. Sorry.
Well, I mean, we're at the point where PJ Soul's character's boyfriend's about to get stuck to the kitchen
Mr.
wall. Bob. Yes, Mr. Bob. Yeah. Yes.
That's the fastest sex scene, I think, in the history of horror movies too.
Well, it was the second quick scene because at the beginning, Michael's sister and her boyfriend, that was about 5-10
Oh my God!
seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was quick. That was quicker than Orc and his dolls.
Boy, I tell you. These girls were easily satisfied back then.
Poor Bob.
But I did want to mention Annie's death earlier. She's in the car, and Michael grabs her and starts to choke her. And to kind of show how spunky of a character she was, he actually has to bring out the knife to finish her off because she's starting to get away from him. Right. And they'd already established how he had killed the dog with his bare hands, but now this girl is about to break his grasp. And it was almost out of desperation that he brings the knife around to slit her throat. And, of course, he did it without geysers of blood. It was very effective.
I know, it's like one slash, and she's done for, you know?
Here's the "Can I get your ghost, Bob?" sequence.
Isn't that a great scene? This scene is so great. Because, you know, back you were thinking, what is the audience thinking? They're thinking, don't be so stupid. Get out of bed. You know, like, it's kind of like what Alfred Hitchcock said about, you know, the bomb under the table theory. You ever hear him explain that? Yeah. That's exactly what he's doing here. That's exactly what he's doing. We know that it's not her boyfriend, and so it's just so perfectly executed. And you've never seen this before, like, you know. And everyone's had a friend put a sheet on and everything, but I love their whole thing. They talked about what would scare you on Halloween, and they built a movie around these scares. I think Deborah Hill said that at one point. I love that whole approach.
Yeah. Well, and what's even cooler is not only does Michael just put the sheet on his head, he takes the guy's glasses and puts those on too. I mean, that's
And that must have been hard. I mean, if you were taking somebody else's glasses and put them on and tried to walk through the room, you could fall everything.
Especially those two.
Yeah, especially them motherfuckers. God.
The power of evil enables him to see all.
Yeah.
Including PJ Soul's priestesses right there.
Oh yeah.
He's got the devil's eyes, man. He got the devil's eyes.
Nice and
He
natural.
does, man.
They're 2020.
People always say 20.
I love the screaming too. The
First I get your famous eating, now I get your famous moaning.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I was thinking the other day as I was watching a horror movie, like, it would be really hard to be a killer like Michael today because everyone's got a cell phone and there's cameras everywhere. Like, you couldn't be a serial killer today. You wouldn't be able to get away with it. Everything's recorded everywhere.
That's
I love the fact that she's on the phone, you know, and just hearing it and looking across the street. She can't text her friend and be like, "Hey, are you okay?" You know, it's a whole different. Yeah, so
that's my same thoughts with the show Bates Motel. I just cannot get into that show because all that shit isn't possible today.
Yeah.
That they got away with back then.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Bates Motel, we actually have a tweet here from Stan who says, "So with Hannibal on air and Scream coming, do you think a Halloween TV show would work?"
We'll make it all about Thorn.
No, I personally don't think so.
They could.
I don't think so either.
They could collect antiques.
Well, I think they could make it, whether it would be, and you could do anything, you know, but I don't think it would be very good. Whatever they made, I mean, what could they possibly? I have no idea how the Scream series is gonna, you know, how that's gonna play out. I mean,
from what I've read, Ghostface isn't even in it.
Right, that's what I've read.
He was all like, "What's your favorite TV show?"
I mean, today if somebody prank calls you, it's like, "What's your favorite scary movie?" Well, area code 312444. You know.
Well, these days there's always some reason why the cell phones don't work. You know.
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah,
They've
cloned the cell phones. Which I'm still not sure how you clone a cell phone or what cloning cell phones are. But they cloned it was, of course, Scream's excuse.
Dr. Loomis finally sees the car and knows that Michael is definitely in the neighborhood.
Now, I can't quite figure out how far the car is away from him. Like, he's been standing there all night, right?
Yeah, didn't they establish that Michael pretty much pulled the car up across the street from where Annie was at? But yet when Dr. Loomis finds it, it's like way down the street?
He moved. Yeah. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
Loomis is standing there taking piss in the bushes and sees it.
Yeah.
That's what I always think.
Like
that scene when he's standing there.
Whenever I watch a horror movie with my girlfriend, she points out those little inconsistencies. And I go,
that's what my wife does too.
Honey, it's a horror movie. Come on.
Trying to make logical sense out of it. You're like, no, it's supposed to be this way. Just be quiet.
Yeah, we're so used to forgiving all that stuff.
It's like, honey, you can't think logically.
Loomis powers.
If all the characters were thinking logically in horror movies, the horror movie would last like 5 minutes.
Right.
We're slasher apologists.
Yeah.
Apologists.
The best one is like the movie The Vacancy. If that's a hotel room, that movie lasts 5 minutes. I just beat the shit out of the guys that come through the shower and it's over.
Yeah.
So the last thing that Jamie Lee says, picture when she says it was the boogeyman. A lot of fans think she's saying, "What's the boogeyman?"
Yeah.
And it's not. And I remember I had the script and I was like, wait, that makes no sense. Why would she say at the very end of the movie, "What's the boogeyman?" And he goes, "As a matter of fact, I was." And I remember I had the script and I flipped to the last page and it does say it was the boogeyman. I think she just kind of swallows the it. She doesn't quite say. She doesn't say it. But somebody asked Carpenter that, and I was there when they asked him that, and he's like, no, he's like, it was the boogeyman. But I just was very surprised. Isn't that the whole point of the movie? It was the boogeyman, you know. And so I'm surprised that a lot of Halloween fans still insist it's what's the boogeyman.
I never thought that. She was crying, and I always thought she said, "Was it the boogeyman?" And then Donald Pleasant says, "As a matter of fact, it was." His response kind of, made it understood.
Because if you watch her say it, was the boogeyman. She kind of doesn't say
Yeah, yeah. I can see how people would, yeah. She's now entering the house, the dark house. Her friends have all disappeared inside of.
So you guys haven't been to that filming location where the houses are across from the street from each other in Hollywood?
I would love to. I mean, I would love to.
Well, let me tell you, the house. My God, that walk across the street is ridiculously long. If you go to this, when you actually go there, you're like, there's no way she walked for 2 minutes across the street. There's just no way. The houses are very close. Yeah, and it sort of gives you a real appreciation for the filmmaking. John Carpenter milking a moment, and you kind of have to stand there and see for yourself. Like, the house it's a very narrow street, and there's a Kentucky Fried Chicken like on the corner or something. But
see, that's where Michael was. That's where Michael went. He drove down to the KFC. He got him a bucket. He got him a bucket, and then he came back. He parked in a different place. So Loomis. That's why Loomis didn't see the car. He was at KFC, man.
There you go.
KFC.
Road trip.
And another thing is, about 1 block away, just letting you know, in LA where that is the Nightmare on Elm Street house. So you get to go walk around in Haddonfield and then go see Freddy.
Yeah, I knew that. I knew that. Yeah, I knew that.
From Haddonfield to Springwood.
Exactly. Yeah. Let me ask you, was there anybody for the convention or for the documentary that you really wanted to get, aside from Carpenter and Hill and Jamie Lee Curtis, that just didn't want to do it, or schedules wasn't permitting?
Well, yeah, we wanted Nancy Loomis, but we just couldn't find her. So yeah, I just would have done anything to have had her there. But you know who was there that actually turned out to be one of the everyone's favorite guests was Janice Nickram. She was the old lady, in Part 6.
From Part 6? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember, like, one thing I tried not to do was to call people at home, like, to find their home numbers. I tried to go through agents and stuff, but Janice didn't have an agent, and I think she was retired, and so I called her at home one night. I don't even know how I got her number. And she answered, and I said, "Hey, is this Janice Nickram?" And she said, "Yes," and I told her who I was, and I said, you were at Halloween 6 and everything, and I invited her. She couldn't believe we were flying her out to this event. She was the hit of the event. I mean, everybody loved Janice. She was hugging everybody. So, she was an unexpected delight at the event. She was just so great. Everybody treated her like their mom, Yeah,
it seemed like from the documentary that everybody liked her and that she was having a really good time.
Oh yeah. Oh, that scream.
We've just walked into.
We found
Jamie's
Bob.
finding all the bodies. Bob's hanging. Annie's in the bed with the tombstone. There's poor PJ.
Bodies everywhere.
And then we're about to get to that sequence with the dimmer light and Michael's face slowly coming into focus. Now, I heard John Carpenter say that, when in the theater, when he was watching the film, and when Jamie Lee pulls off the mask here momentarily, that people scream.
Right.
That it's just a kid's face underneath it, but audiences screamed because they were expecting to see like the devil or something.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I think that's a testament to how well he put over this character as something more than human.
Yeah, I agree. It's a huge build-up, and it's so much fun getting to that ending. And I could just imagine, I think on YouTube, if you go to YouTube and type like audience reaction in 1978, somebody posted an audio. Have you guys seen this on YouTube?
No.
Of an actual audience reaction from 1978 watching this movie. And you hear people screaming, "Oh my God," and I believe it's authentic. Check it out. It's really cool. People are really unsettled as they're watching this.
I can believe it, yeah. Well, we were actually talking. We did a 40th anniversary Texas Chainsaw Massacre live commentary, and we were talking about, we mentioned it earlier, that today movies like Halloween, like Texas Chainsaw, even like Friday the 13th, just wouldn't get made today, or if they did, they're not going to get any kind of distribution. and a question that we raised was, you know, Halloween is 35 years old. Or wait a minute, yeah, 35 years old. Texas Chainsaw is 40 years old. Are there any movies that you can think of from the past even 20 years that in 40 years from now we're still going to be talking about and will be as revered as movies like Halloween, Chainsaw, Friday the 13th?
You know, I would have to believe so, only because, like, you know, Halloween was impressionable to me at a very young age. You know, I think a lot of like 10-year-olds that saw Insidious might look at that as their Halloween. You know, so I think maybe the guys that are making those films, like I just saw Oculus. I don't know if you guys saw Oculus.
Yeah.
You know, I really liked it. I was like, really thought that was very well made. I thought, you know, is it a Halloween? I don't know, but did you guys like it?
I didn't like
Oh
it.
yeah, I like it.
I loved it.
I haven't seen it yet.
All right. I mean, it's about a mirror. I mean, come on. But I thought it was still well done. But I don't know. But like our parents liked Dracula, and there was those movies. You know, Psycho and all that. I think it's the answer to that is yes. But I don't think the remakes were successful at all. Like I don't think the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street, which I just saw on AMC the other day, is going to have any lasting impact. You know, I think the remakes, all they do is make the person seek out the original and appreciate that all the more. You know, so I don't think the remakes are gonna like replace, you know, like you know, Zombies remake of Halloween is not gonna replace 1978's Halloween.
Right.
But I think other movies are, you know, gonna have some kind of an impact.
Did you like Zombies remake?
Sure. No. I don't know who's listening to this.
Rob Zombie is not listening to this. Trust me.
Right.
Who gives a fuck if he is?
Well, you know, I've met Rob Zombie, and he's great. He's nice, you know, and I think his intentions were great. But I think if Carpenter's Halloween was never made, and we had nothing to compare his movie to, it would have a lot going for it. But I think all we end up doing is comparing it, and so it can't live up to it. And so you can't just say to a Halloween fan, well, don't think about the first movie. You know, do you like it on its own? I think you just can't do that. Your brain keeps going, but it was so much better in the first movie. You know, that's how I feel.
Right.
Well, Halloween's one of those movies that shouldn't have been remade, like Jaws. I hope nobody ever remakes Jaws. You can't.
Like the remake of Psycho. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the remake of Psycho.
Man.
There are certain movies that should just be untouchable.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the remake of Psycho makes the remake of Halloween look a little better.
Yeah, it does. It makes every movie look better.
The remake of Halloween is just painful. I can barely watch it. It's too loud, too obnoxious, and just completely misses the point.
There's one scene I like in it. There's one scene where Michael chases Laurie in the house, like what we just saw here, you know, and the kids look up and they see him in that little window for the first time through the door. I think that's it's just pandemonium. And I was just thinking, if I was that little kid and heard my babysitter running in and looked up and saw that would be harrowing. You know, I remember thinking that was well done, but out of the whole movie, like that little, like one little scene, yeah, I don't know.
All right. We've got a question on YouTube. Where'd it go? Basically, it was what is your favorite Halloween sequel? What are your guys' favorite Halloween sequel?
Easy answer is part 2, but I'll say H2O.
Yeah, I'll agree with you.
Okay.
I really like
those
4,
are mine,
but
too.
I
Sorry.
think 4, but I think it was just because it was my introduction.
I hate the mask in 4.
Yeah.
And 5 is, well, that mask is even worse.
I really like 3, though, even though it's not anything we can really compare anything to. I was watching it on AMC earlier before we started the show.
Right.
It's the perfect Halloween movie to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tom Atkins is in it. How can you not like it?
Exactly.
Absolutely.
The Atkins.
Bow down.
When
to
I
the
first
stage.
heard about the Atkins diet, I was like, there's a diet that involves. I was like, there's a diet that involves cigarette, booze, and banging chicks within 5 minutes of eating them. I'm there.
Man.
Sign me up.
It gives you the world's awesomest mustache.
God knows I need that.
I do like Halloween 3, but my favorite sequel is 2. After 3, it's pretty much all downhill as you go. Like 4's okay, and then 5's worse, and then 6 is worse, and then H2O to me was just too Scream-like. I thought it was just they tried to modernize it too much, and it lost the effectiveness of the original. It was just kind of bland, kind of blah, and it was, like I said before, it was a little bit too much about Laurie's PTSD and alcoholism and her relationship with her son. Then Michael was just kind of there. And then, of course, L.O. Cool J and the stunt casting, and then that leads right into Resurrection, which is
oh my God.
But still, you were talking about Resurrection is. I would rather watch that than Rob Zombie's movie.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, I'd say so.
When you mentioned Resurrection earlier, Anthony, Resurrection actually came out in theaters on my 20th birthday, and that was a birthday gift I wanted desperately to return.
Trick or treat, motherfucker!
Yeah.
It's horrible when you see like something that you love so much. Like when I saw Halloween 6 in theaters, I'll never forget. The lights came up. Somebody in front of me got up and went, "Well, that sucked," and walked out. That was like, I was like, yeah, exactly. It was just so bad.
Yeah. I think as far as sequels are concerned, I mean, Part 2 is definitely the easiest one. I love 3. I don't know. I've here lately. I've always had a soft spot for 6, both versions of it. I don't know.
Marion Hagen is great in it. Marianne is awesome.
Oh yeah.
I love Marion. I love Marion Hagen.
Because she can act. I mean, it's like she's a really great actor. I mean, she created a very vulnerable character. That's what I love about that movie. I like Donald Pleasence, some of his lines, but I like the clothesline scene. Kim Darby's great. I love Kim Darby. She's very weird and eerie, and she's great. But it's just compare that to the first movie, and plus Michael is like 50 pounds overweight. It's just got so much wrong with it,
Were they trying to?
At that point, he was like 60 years old. He's sleeping with his niece. He's just like, what the hell, man? I'm just going to let myself go. These crazy druid bastards keep me locked up down here. I screw it.
What was up with Paul Rudd's reading of Tommy Doyle? Was he trying to turn him into a Norman Bates character? Some of the way he read his lines, I was 8 years old when he came to the Myers. He just had his line reading is just so odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, he comes across as very Norman Bates-like.
Right. Yeah. Well, you guys got to interview Marion Hagen quite a bit on the documentary, and I've always really appreciated her performance. So yeah, that was one of the great things that I thought was cool about the documentary. And unfortunately, she's not on the new box set, any of the new box set extras. I was disappointed in that they didn't.
Well, I think she lives in New York now, and a lot of those bonus features are produced in LA, and sometimes they just can't get somebody, or I don't know. But Marianne's in a movie I co-produced called Breadcrumbs. She stars in it. So if you want to see Marianne star in another B movie, it's called Breadcrumbs. You can find it anywhere. But she plays a porn actress who's at the end of her career, and it's a pornography crew goes into the middle of the woods, of course, to a house to go film their last movie. And it's sort of a home invasion kind of thing. Producer's a friend of mine named Mike Nichols. So if you like Marianne, check that out.
Cool. Anthony, just between me and you, I want this movie immediately. I'll send you my address after the show. But we just saw Michael was unmasked. Here's what's the boogeyman? And of course, Loomis just popped him 6 times.
He got him 6 times.
Yeah, you can tell she kind of chokes up on the it. Like, it was the boogeyman.
But like that last line is so important to the movie. She can't be turning around and saying to him, "What's the boogeyman?" I mean, are you kidding? She's saying it was like it's her revelation. She's just attacked by this man in a mask. I mean,
I've never questioned that line before.
Me either.
Yeah, me either.
Okay. And one other thing that that Carpenter mentioned about Donald Pleasance was with this scene here. Pleasance said, "I can play it two ways. I can play it where I knew he was gone, or when I looked down, I knew he wouldn't be there, or A, I'm shocked. It's either A, I'm shocked, or B, I knew he wouldn't be there." And Carpenter just said, "Just do it." And of course, he went with B, and B is of course.
But if you watch, I think he used both. I know what Carpenter said. I'm familiar with what he said. But when he looks over the balcony and sees that he's gone, the look on his face is, "Holy shit!" You know, like I didn't know this was going to happen. But then they cut to him, and he's got that look like, "I knew this would happen." So I don't know. To me, it looked like they used both.
Maybe Carpenter cheated a little bit. Who knows? He edited both in there. Who knows?
Right.
But this closing sequence here, I know Tommy Lee Wallace said, it was basically just trying to piece something together, and amazing closing to the film with Michael breathing and all the places he's been and all the places he now could be, and now he's everywhere.
Yeah. That's how you do it. It's almost like, why make a horror movie ever again? Because the best one's been made. That's how I feel every time I see this movie. Like, God forbid anyone tries to top Halloween. I don't think they'll be able to.
Let me ask you, 35 years.
Let me ask you this, Anthony. There was one person on the 25 Years of Terror that I wanted to see desperately on that documentary, and he wasn't there.
Uh-oh.
And that was the actor that played Bucky in Part 4, the power plant worker that played Bucky. I've held it against you all these years, Anthony, that he was not in the documentary. Why was Bucky not in the documentary, Anthony?
All right. Well, first of all, Bucky had his own website. I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a Bucky website that was just
Bucky's
dedicated.
Power Plant.
Yes,
it was
exactly.
Bucky's Power Plant.
And I was like, I can't believe he has like that kind of. I honestly don't remember, but I know we reached out to everybody. Our crew was on the phone. We were like emailing. I mean, yeah. I don't remember why.
Music performed by the Bowling Green Philharmonic. Of course, that's John Carpenter lived in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and John Carpenter was the Bowling Green Philharmonic. Cool.
So how many people here is this your favorite horror movie?
That would be me.
Me.
Nah.
Me too.
Okay. It's right up there. It's easily in my top 3. I always go with Texas Chainsaw as my all-time favorite. Mm-hmm. Halloween would either be 2 or 3.
Same here. The Exorcist is my number 1, but this is in the top 3 at least.
Mm-hmm.
How many times, Anthony, have you seen Halloween?
I don't know, 2047. I don't know. It feels like that. And also when you make a documentary like I made, you're studying it and you're rewatching it and pulling out all the scenes you want. And so I could recite every line, every scene. I could point out every mistake. I mean, I should have as we were doing this, but there's a lot to talk about. There's a scene where someone's head pops up over the hedge. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's the scene where Annie bumps into Brackett, Mr. Brackett. There's a head that pops up, and it's riddled with like mistakes and palm trees, and but even with all of its mistakes, it's just an iconic film.
There's that one scene
some smartass on Twitter named Jason said, "How did Michael know how to drive?" Come on, dude. Really?
There's an evil force in him. I don't know.
The man makes a good point.
He was an idiot savant. What the hell, right?
All right, Anthony, we only have 9 more to go, so we hope
Were they offering driver's ed in that mental institution?
Maybe somebody gave him lessons.
If it's an automatic, and maybe he watched people drive, I mean, it's not that hard to pick up, really. I mean, you put it in D and you hit the gas. I mean, how freaking hard is it?
Well, I wonder if anybody out there accidentally put in the TV version and they're going, "Wait a minute, it's still going. They've stopped."
Do you guys like the TV version?
I do. I do like the TV version. I do.
So do I. I mean, the scenes really are, I like the scene with Loomis in the beginning pleading with the judge, please,
Oh, I do
please.
too.
Yeah, it's great. They're totally unnecessary. I mean, the movie works without them, but it was great to see the extra scenes. And he walks in and says, you fooled them all, but not me. I love it. I think it's great.
I was so used to that TV cut and watching it, and like having it recorded off of TV on VHF and watching it so many times that when I finally saw the uncut version, I was like, wait a minute, where's that scene at?
Exactly.
We're missing some scenes here. What is this? Is this an edited version? What happened? So yeah.
Where are all these boobs in here?
But yeah, Anthony, why don't you tell us what projects you're working on now?
Well, I'm working on a couple things. I'm working on some TV projects that I'm developing, horror related, that I'm very excited about. But I wanted to mention a documentary that came out that you guys, you guys are diehard horror fans, but it's called The 50 Best Horror Movies You've Never Seen. And you can get it on Amazon, Xbox, iTunes. It's a countdown of 50 lesser-known horror movies that are just as great as the great, Halloween and Friday the 13th. Every year there's lists. Every year there's lists of best horror movies, best scenes, and everything.
Right.
And yet, as a horror fan, I know that great movies like Reanimator, Joshua, Pumpkinhead, all these, like mainstream, seasoned horror fans like you and I know a lot of these movies. But there's a lot of people that like horror movies that don't know what to rent. I mean, if you go to Amazon Prime or if you go to Netflix, you know how many crappy horror movies are on there. So this was made to sort of say, look, if you like horror but you don't really know where all the golden nuggets are, this is the documentary for you. And it's narrated by PJ Souls, so you get her to sort of take you through it, and it's 2.5 hours long. And you might discover a few films on there that you haven't heard of, like movies like May, which was Angela Bettis is in that. She plays like a deranged, Dr. Frankenstein kind of person.
Love that movie.
Yeah, great movie, right? And it's like, who knows about May? Like, the casual horror fan might not even know the movie exists. So that's The Beast Within. I don't know if you guys have seen The Beast Within.
Oh yeah.
See, I'm preaching to the choir. You guys know these movies. But it's a lot of fun, too, and a lot of the horror journalists and a lot of the actors, directors, filmmakers. Toby Wilkins is in it, who directed Splinter. I have just a lot of great people. Paul Sollett, who directed and wrote Grace. His movie is on there. And then we have movies like Brides of Dracula, and Lamora, movies that you might have forgotten about. So rent it. It's a really great. It's Halloween tomorrow, so it's a really great way to sort of spend 2.5 hours being reminded of all these really, really great films. It's funny too, definitely. And I wanted to not make a documentary. I watched a lot of countdown documentaries before I made that one, and a lot of them go for the joke. They put a bunch of comedians in there to talk about movies and joke about them. But all my friends out here are filmmakers, they're critics, they're directors, producers, writers, and so they want to analyze everything. So we really put together a 2.5 hour really fun countdown. Like, Humanoids from the Deep is on it. I mean, come on, that's the kind of...
Oh, that's cool.
That's an awesome movie.
It's great. Awesome movie. Exactly. So check that out.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely check that out. Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, do you guys have any closing thoughts on the original Halloween? Barry, what do you say, buddy? You've been in and out. You've been quiet. What do you say, buddy?
Man, just a great time all around. Thanks for letting me be a part of it. Mr. Masi, thanks for joining in, sir.
Oh, it's great. As you can tell, I can talk about this movie for hours. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate it. We definitely appreciate you hanging out with us and talking about the film. And yeah, great stuff. Let me just double check real quick and see if there's any questions from anybody on the YouTube. A lot of people talking about the AMC marathons.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Org about that on Facebook. It's hard for me to watch those films on the AMC, marathons because I have the Blu-rays.
Yeah.
So why am I going to watch the TV versions with a bunch of shitty commercials when I can just throw in the Blu-ray and get the real deal?
Same,
Exactly.
but like with Monster Vision and USA Up All Night, it's kind of what I grew up with. So as shitty as they are, the cuts, I have to watch them.
And it's great that they're on TV. You know, other people are watching it too. So I kind of like that. I like that it's not me and my Blu-ray. It's like it's on TV right now. You know,
Right,
a lot of
yeah,
fun in that.
Thing. But it's missing Joe Bob though. If Joe Bob was on there, then yeah, I'd be there.
Sure. We've been so spoiled.
Or Ron this year. Yeah. We've got a question from Jarrett Evie. He wants to know, will there be an updated Halloween documentary like Crystal Lake Memories and Never Sleep Again?
Make it happen, please.
Right. Probably not. I mean, probably not. I mean, again, the series is so well documented, you know. So.
Let's see. Everybody, people wishing us all a happy Halloween. Let's see. Nope, I think that's kind of it.
You're right.
I think that's about it. A lot of people talking about AMC. So even though it's on TV, even though it's cut, people are tuning into AMC to watch the marathon. So.
Well, I'm glad the films are so popular that people will watch them even in a shitty television cut with a bunch of commercials. I mean, that speaks volumes for the popularity of the series.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's the time of year. It's the time of year where non-horror watching people watch
exactly
horror. Like we watch horror all year round. You know,
Right.
I was once asked. So what are you doing for Halloween this year? And I was like, well, you know. I just kind of looked around my man cave area, and I think about the movies that I watch all year, and I'm like, well, dude, it's Halloween here all year round. You know what I mean?
You're going to pop on the piano or something?
Yeah. So.
What I think is cool about those marathons, like this week, they always plan my crappy training conference the same week as Halloween. Luckily, I got back tonight. But you're away, you don't have your Blu-ray collection. At least you've got something. It's a good thing to have. You can watch it, or if it's on Halloween night, you could have it playing in the background, and you don't have to worry about loading in another disc, that kind of thing. So, pretty neat.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I guess it's just
the question. Go ahead, Mike.
I was just saying, it's just a prejudice from my younger years because, yeah, I lived in the era before cable and VHS, and the only way I could watch these films, if I was too young to see them in a theater, was wait a year for the TV version. Mm-hmm. But when I finally was able to get cable and VHS, it was no longer, why would I still want to watch them on TV when I can now watch them the way they were meant to be seen? So maybe it's a prejudice of my age. I don't know. I'm just so happy to be able to have the freedom to pop in the version that I want to see. It's unthinkable to me to watch the TV version because I was stuck with them when I was a kid.
Right.
Oh, I agree, Mike. That's the coolest thing about having Blu-rays and DVDs now. They've gotten cheap enough, because I can remember the time too when VHS tapes, for God's sakes, were like $60 a piece. That's no joke. They used to have them printed.
Actually, there were more. You know, I used to work in a video store, and I remember when Halloween 4 came out on VHS. With my employee discount, it was $85. So they were $100 items when they came out.
Yeah, I'd go to the mom and pop video store, and I would say, man, I really like that movie. I want to buy a copy. How much is it? Well, we get it for like $95, so it'll be $95. I'm like, what? I couldn't believe there wasn't an affordable cut.
I've actually got an old VHS of the classic 80s. Actually, I think it's either late 80s, early 90s film Psycho Cop. And it's got a price tag on the back of it for $70.
Worth every penny.
So,
Yeah.
You bet your ass.
I think I've still got a VHS of Slumber Party Massacre. I think it's got like $59.95 or $60 something on it like that, where it's printed actually on the slipcover.
Wow.
Wow.
And I know some of us complain about the price of some Blu-ray releases, but there was a time back in the day when people were paying, $29 for a VHS.
Oh yeah.
And with inflation and that, that'd be $60, $70 in today's money. It's like crazy.
It would, yeah. Well, here's the question, and Anthony, I know you probably can't hang out with us much longer. I'm not sure what your schedule is like, but I think a couple of these wild men that I'm here with, they want to go right into Halloween too.
Hell yeah!
And as a little extra bonus for everybody out there who's watching to just segue right into Halloween 2, and we may go ahead and do that if you want to stay with us for Halloween 2. By all means, we'd love to have you stay. If not, I mean that's totally up to you. I mean, we definitely appreciate you spending the time with us that you have tonight, and it's been a lot of fun, man. Been a lot of fun.
It's been a lot of fun. I think I'm going to bail out now because I just wanted to talk about, my favorite horror movie. But I do love Halloween too, so I'll be with you in spirit.
Cool.
Okay.
All
Well,
right,
again,
guys.
thanks so much for joining us, man. Have a happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
And,
Thanks again, you guys. It's been a great
Everyone buy this. Buy it.
Check it out.
Product placement. Love it. No.
Yeah.
Only for you, man. Only for you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Breadcrumbs. Breadcrumbs too, people.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
See you, buddy.
Take care, buddy.
Oh, that was fun. That was fun. All right, so why don't we, if we're going to dive into Halloween 2 now as a little bonus for everybody out there, a Halloween bonus for everybody out there in Sausage Factory Nation.
See ya, boy.
We'll let
Let's
Orc
take
off
a
his
minute.
leash now.
Let's take a minute. Let's go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
Let's get some more
intermission.
beers. Yeah, a little
this
intermission.
time.
Intermission while we
Now get
set
the
everything
bath
up.
on. Fuck this. Let's go hardcore. Start it up now. Let's
Cue it up.
Intermission. Tea time. Gotta go tea time.
Get your Halloween 2 discs out, people. Load them up. We're coming back with Halloween 2 here momentarily. It's intermission time.
We're going into extra innings, baby. Let's do it.
Now that I've got you guys alone, I can really drop some truth.
What's up, homie?
All right, so why don't we...
That Pizzow guy, man, he really sucks.
He does.
BRB, guys.
Look at this guy over here.
Oh, shit.
A little intermission. While we set everything up.
Oh, you got the Scream Factory.
Coldy Pro, what is up, my friend? Barely nothing.
I can really drop some truth. Blue headphones.
Bass. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Let's just do Halloween. All business. All business. Getting like an echo.
What's up, Cole?
Meh.
How you doing?
Bad. Whoa, I'm getting like a weird replay.
I'm getting it too. I don't know who it's coming from, though.
Thought I was going crazy.
There's Cold Dark.
Do
Where you
it.
been, man?
I've been around.
All right, you got Halloween 2 ready?
Just getting it set up.
Okay.
Basically, hit
You
play
having
film, then pause it right off.
Yep. Yep.
Done.
You having some technical difficulties earlier, Cole?
I'm not. I don't know what this weird replay thing is.
What? Replay.
Nobody else is hearing this? I'm hearing,
I was hearing some
from,
like
a few
some
minutes
others.
ago.
Yeah, I don't know where it's coming from.
I'm not hearing anything either.
Yeah, see, I just heard you going, there's Cold Dark! Where you been, man? Oh my god, this is insanity.
Oh, somebody's got their somebody might have their headset next to the computer or something.
Or something, yeah. So, basically, it's like about a minute and a half behind.
That's weird. But yeah, we're keeping on. We're keeping on here.
Do you still hear it? Oh, I can kind of hear it now, I think.
Somebody's headset.
I bet it's B Junior.
Probably be Junior.
All right.
Oh goodness. Everybody getting ready?
I shot him 6 times.
How many did you hear? How many?
Number 1.
No, but how many times did he get shot?
He says 6, but if you count, it's actually 7.
No, I liked your Loomis impression.
I shot him 6 times.
You don't know what death is?
That line is changed in the
You
TV
don't
version
know
for
what
no
death
reason.
is.
I'm alerting everyone via social media that we're getting ready to launch into Halloween 2.
Bizzell, here's to you, buddy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I'm gonna have to grab me another
I'm
one
living
here.
a crazy hell of deja vu.
Are you still hearing it, Cole?
I'm getting everything twice. Like, it comes around again about a minute and a half later.
Do you have the stream open on your computer, by chance?
You may, yeah, that may be it.
Because I
That's
heard
probably
stuff
it.
earlier too, but I don't hear it anymore from anybody else.
The YouTube video? Do you have the YouTube video open right now?
God, I can't be that stupid, can I?
That's
No.
probably what it is.
I don't think so. Hold on.
Yeah, I heard it on someone's as well.
Double and triple check this. Holy fuck, that's what it was. Oh, I'm retarded. There.
The
That
more
should...
you know. Doo-doo-doo.
I thought I closed that ages ago. Okay. Go watch this in relative light.
What happened to Captain Spaulding, James?
Oh, I had to clean him off, man. I gotta go to work in the morning. I gotta redo the makeup for work tomorrow.
So you're going to work at the prison dressed as Captain Spaulding?
Proved it, so yeah.
Wow.
Those guys deserve a laugh too.
They gonna join the felons tomorrow. Can't wait to wake them up.
All right. So, so everybody, we are about to launch into Halloween 2. This is a Halloween special bonus live commentary. We just wrapped up Halloween 1 with special guest Anthony Masi. Had an awesome time talking about that movie with him. Talking about the documentary Halloween 25 Years of Terror, the convention, Halloween Returns to Haddonfield, everything associated with Halloween. So we're about to launch into Halloween 2 for you guys. We're going to keep it going. It's it's that time of year, so we're going to be. We may just go all night. We've got 9 movies. We'll just be going all night. Why not? Why not? We've got Halloween 2 queued up at 0.00. If you guys want to tune in along with us, that is the place to be. Live tweet with us at TSF Nation. Leave questions, comments in the comment section of the video. The live chat over on the website is open, thesausagefactoryshow.com. Before we start Halloween 2, want to remind everybody that this episode is brought to you by Phoenix FearCon 6, Arizona's largest horror convention and film festival for 6 years running. Head over to phoenixfearcon.com for discount tickets. It's all going down November 1st and 2nd. phoenixfearcon.com. Also, our good friends at Horror Block have given us another promo code for 10% off a subscription to Horror Block monthly subscription services. Get an awesome box just like this in the mail, delivered straight to your door every month, loaded with awesome horror goodies. Follow the link in the video description. Use the promo code SUPERHERO and get 10% off. So let's go ahead and let's launch into Halloween 2. More from the night that he came home. Let's start in 3, 2, 1, and go.
Engage.
I shot him 6 times.
You don't know what death is.
Hey, I've been trick-or-treated to death tonight.
Yeah. For some reason, that dialogue was different in the TV version.
What's
Mr.
weird
Sandman.
is like thinking how long this. I mean, this was truly a very, very long night, because it seemed like the what happened in the original Halloween probably took maybe all night, yet it's still not over. So it's a very long Halloween night here. Very long Halloween night. And also, if you count the shots here, there's 7 shots, not 6. Count the shots.
Right.
I recently
recently
met Dick Warlock, and he was a really, really nice guy. Probably right up there in the top 5 favorite celebrities I've ever met. He was really cool.
Real quick, I'm just gonna check. Do you guys have a white horse in your film right now? Or movie?
Shut the hell
No,
up.
I was thinking this movie could use a white horse. That's what would really improve it.
Oh,
Maybe a unicorn.
we got a hater over here.
Or a Pegasus.
He's up.
Maybe some elves and such.
Dick Warlock's actually going to be at Mad Monster Party next March. I'm going to try and make it to that and hopefully get to meet him.
I got a really long conversation out of him because I had him sign Pumpkinhead. He was the guy that comes to Ed Harley's parents' house screaming to let him in, and he was the stunt coordinator on the movie, so he had never signed Pumpkinhead, so you always get a really good conversation when you bring odd stuff. So.
Oh, cool.
You don't know what death is.
Notice how they cut that scene out right here. They don't show the guy's face.
Yeah, they don't show his face, yeah.
Yeah. There's one shot. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
7. That's a 7.
4 and 5 are in quick succession. That's why people miss it.
There's the choke. I want the boogie, ma'am. As a matter of fact, that was. Now watch. I always notice, like when Donald Pleasance runs down, when he runs out the door here, his jacket is like totally different. It's got like a much bigger collar and it's all pointed and stuff. It just looks. Yeah. Always notice it's much different
too. Look, it's a complete grass, but in the original one, it's like a bare patch where there's no grass. But in this, they wanted the imprint.
Isn't there something about the geography too? They did it in the original off the back side of the house, and in this one they made it off the front side of the house.
Oh,
He
really?
fell into the front yard or something.
Yeah.
Was it? I always thought he fell out of the
Yeah.
front.
Yeah, he's checking the front here, which doesn't really make any sense.
Call the police.
Donald Pleasance. Could you imagine if Donald Pleasance were still alive today? He could make. Oh my God, he could make a crap load of money at conventions.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
He truly
Famous
was.
prize.
He truly was the backbone of these movies, guys. Really, I mean,
Oh,
once
yeah.
you get to H2O, he is sorely missed in H2O, man.
Yeah.
I give him credit
His
for hanging
pres-
in.
Yeah, his presence was so
I mean, 6
sorely.
is the last thing he ever did as far as movies go.
It was, yeah. It was. Now, is anybody watching the Universal release, whatever, I think it was the 25-year release that came out before the Shout Factory release? Because if anybody is, that opening on the Universal, it doesn't say Mustafa Akkad Presents, it says Universal Presents.
Right.
Yeah, right there, Mike, that's the one, yeah. They totally
His
changed that
relatives were
title.
very upset about that.
Yes, his relatives were very upset about it.
I'm watching the Scream Factory version.
Okay.
Me too. If anybody's interested, if you want to get a pumpkin like the opening scenes that you're viewing now, you can get yours at trickortreatstudios.com.
You can. That was an unpaid plug for Trick or Treat Studios.
Yes.
So Trick or Treat Studios, you owe us
Last Dark
$25.
Unsolicited plug there, sorry.
There you go.
This whole bit with the pumpkin's pretty good.
Yeah, I also like the new score. The kind of, I don't know, the score for this one is kind of, I don't know. I like it, but it's very kind of, I don't know. I don't know what a good word would be to describe it. It's kind of, I don't know. It's like the original Halloween score, but on cocaine.
Yeah, it makes me want to have a seizure.
Well, with this film, this was the first Halloween film that I ever saw. I was over at a friend's house. They had this service, I think it was called Spectravision or something. It wasn't even like cable.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
like an
I've
extra
heard
antenna that you put on your antenna, and all you could get were movie channels.
Yeah.
And I watched this at a friend's house, and so this is my introduction. So like when James said that part 4 was, he had a soft spot for it, I have a real soft spot for this film. It's not my favorite.
Right.
The original has eclipsed it, but still everything about this film just makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside, including the score. So
Oh, yeah.
I kind of like the embellishments that they did to the score.
I always love the hospital
Uh,
cave scenes. Those are so epic in this film.
Yeah.
Inside the hospital.
The pumpkin opening up here and showing the skull inside, I always thought was just really kind of cool too.
That's
Right.
awesome.
And
Yeah. Makes me feel like this must have been the first one I saw, because I have very old memories of this intro, so I think maybe I saw this before the original. Or I saw them on the same night, which is possible. I remember the first, actually the first little tiny bit of Halloween I ever saw was like some of part 6 on TV, believe it or not. Like just a random part of it, like maybe 10 minutes of it in one kill. That was the first bit of Halloween I ever saw.
And even though John Carpenter's not technically the director of this film, he did direct a few scenes. It's still got Dean Cundy, and that to me, it really makes it seamless. There are some differences, but it's still really close.
Well, and John Carpenter directed some scenes for this movie. He directed the part where the girl gets stabbed in the throat here coming up. He directed that. He put that into the film because they wanted another scare. They wanted another kill early in the movie. So that was John Carpenter.
And he directed the scene where the boombox kid walks into Michael, because that was Dick Warlock's son playing the boombox
Right.
kid. Because he wanted to explain how Michael found the hospital because he was afraid people wouldn't grasp it.
Exactly, yeah.
Maybe he saw it when he was taking his driver's ed classes.
Barry, can you do the Donald Pleasance line, but do it as what's his name from Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
Paul Pertain.
Yes.
Okay, let me get into character here. Let me think wheelchair.
This is gonna be awesome.
I've never had to do this before. Let's see.
I'll put you on the spot, man.
You can start off with Sally if you need to.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
Sally, wait a minute, Sally, wait a minute. Hold my coffee can, Sally. Sally. Oh, God, Sally, I shot him 6 times, Sally. I shot him 6 times. I pulled the trigger 7, but 6 bullets came out, Sally. Sally, wait a minute, give me my gun.
Sally, hold my piss coffee cup while I shoot this crazy feller.
Man, that block of ham looks disgusting.
Doesn't it, though?
Oh, man.
Well, that's how we ate back in the early 80s, buddy. That's how we ate.
Gotta go back to the first time I ever saw this movie.
Class code.
The amount of respect that people have. I was in middle school, probably 5th grade, and I had this one kid I was good friends with, who was like the Stephen King kid, who had every single book and literally owned every horror movie. And I was like, oh, Halloween, I've never seen that movie. I've heard it's pretty good. And he's like, yeah, this VHS right here, you can just keep it. And he just gave the VHS to me, and I was like, all right, cool. That's the first time I ever saw it.
Cool.
You're
like,
good friend.
I think an important thing to point out too is like from the get-go, even from Loomis's first scenes to this, they amped up the blood factor in this movie. Blood is in like every other scene in this movie, whereas the first one didn't have hardly any.
Well, Carpenter said he felt pressure because by this time Friday the 13th had come out, and he felt that's what audiences wanted to see. So, and the studio even, pressured him, hey, there's not enough blood in this movie, and that's part of why he went back and shot extra scenes.
Right.
I'm fine with all of it. It seems that anytime anybody wants to criticize this movie, they say because of it's not like the first one. But I mean, why would anybody be happy if it was exactly like the first one? Then they would just say they just did the same thing over again. I don't know.
Well, like I said earlier,
this is how you do a slasher sequel.
It's an extension of the third act. It's if you complain about character development and story development, that all took place already. This is an extension of what we already saw.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I know I said.
I love the fact that it starts right where the last one ended, with Michael walking through, these back alleys, and he's right back at stalking. He's right back at he sees this woman, he likes her, he's going to go kill her because she looks like his sister, and that's what he does.
I always kind of had a problem with this scene because it seemed kind of out of place. Like, he didn't kill the old people when he took the knife, but yet he takes time to stop and kill her, and it just didn't seem like he had a proper reason for it.
Yeah, the only sort of reasoning I can ascribe to it is because she looks like his sister. But I mean, this thing was totally shot just for the kill, just for the blood, to have another kill.
But unfortunately, it kind of sticks out that way. It doesn't blend well just because it seems out of place.
Yeah.
Still good though.
Yeah. Still good.
This kill reminds me a lot of the first kill in The Burning. After Cropsey gets out of the hospital, he kind of goes for the hooker and kills her, and it's just so out of place. I've never understood that kill for some reason.
E and N.
Oh!
Love that. And like a lot of the the first 4 Friday the 13th, Friday the 13th 2, 3, and 4, supposedly happen like day for day, but they don't feel like it. This movie feels like it's an extension of the third act of the first film, Yeah,
because the Friday the 13th, it was Friday the 13th, Saturday the 14th, and then Sunday the 15th.
Well, right.
It changes so much between films. It's like, how did he go from being a long-haired, short little hillbilly to a tall, bald guy?
Right.
Kind of hard to believe that in 24 hours he changed that much.
Well, I mean, it's got Laurie to tie it together.
A lot of people complain about the wig she's wearing. I never really had that much of a problem with the wig.
You know what? I never thought about it until people pointed it out. Now I can't help but notice it. But before people pointed it out, I wouldn't have thought anything of it. People really.
She's been through hell.
Yeah,
She's just, you know, it fits.
Yeah, I mean, I always recognized it, or well, I mean, I recognized it for a long time as it's a wig, clearly, but it never bothered me. I don't care. I mean, you could also be like, well, you know, she's wearing a wig now. Donald Pleasance, it's supposed to be the same night, but he's clearly aged like 10 years. You know what I mean? He looks like he's aged 10 years. I don't care, you know?
I've seen better wigs than that in the dollar aisle at Walmart.
Because I think, wasn't she filming like, what's that movie with John Travolta where she had short hair? Like, she was filming that around the same time. I think like she went right from that set to this set, maybe, or she was filming some movie with where she had to have short hair. I don't remember.
Was it Trading Places?
That's what I was thinking.
It might have been. It might have been. I was trying to think of short hair of movies that she was in with short hair that came out around this time, and for some reason the John Travolta movie popped in my mind.
I think that one was after she made Trading Places.
I think you're right. I can't even remember what that movie was called.
Perfect.
She looked good in it, though.
Perfect. I think it was about the Rolling Stone writer and the people at the aerobics center.
That's it, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that always looks painful. That's something we were really afraid of as kids, too.
Oh, yeah. I remember that whole thing.
Don't eat the apples.
People taking their candy to the emergency room to have it x-rayed and all that.
You know, something I was talking about the other night, you know, you heard about that all the time, but did that ever actually happen? Like, did anyone ever...
It did, but what happened, it was the father poisoned his own kids for insurance.
Poisoning.
But, I mean, they preach that shit nonstop every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can look at an apple.
It turned into an urban.
You can see if an apple's been violated. It'll be a break in the skin, you know. And if your candy has a little pinprick in the wrapper, you know, it's a dead giveaway. Just look at it.
Yeah.
They say check the kids' candy every year. I remember my parents checked the candy. They'd like glance at it and be like, "Yeah, it's good."
Well, my mom used to taste it. She'd be like, "Well, let me taste it. That one's good. This one's good."
Hold on. I'm still checking it.
Yeah. Like, Mom, you half ate the whole damn bag. I got tested it.
Welcome to the most
Well, I love
deserted
this.
pop
Dr.
of all
Victor's been at the
time.
country club. He's probably drunk. Yeah, he's probably drunk.
Well, in its defense, when I was 13, I ended up in the hospital for about a week with bacterial pneumonia. And hospitals at night like that, when everybody's asleep and nobody's out walking around, it's deserted. You get up to go to the bathroom or something, you walk out into the hallway, and the lights are dim. You know, the nurses are at the nursing station, and they're just kind of talking, but there's not like a whole lot of activity going on. So to me, I never really paid much attention to that. It didn't stick out to me because I had been in the hospital about that time, 81 or so, and I didn't think nothing of it.
Yeah.
Pretty different from my hospital experience.
Because it's supposed to be Haddonfield, Illinois, not New York City.
Yeah, well, see, and that's exactly it. I lived in a very small town when I was a kid, and we had a huge hospital. And, I mean, if you put everybody in the town in that hospital, you'd still have open rooms.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there were times where I would be walking through the hospital, and an entire wing of it would be totally empty. So I totally believed Halloween 2, you know, that there were, you know, very few, you know, staff and people in this hospital.
You're not going to have visitors. You're not going to have a whole bunch of traffic. It's just going to be the staff and what people are there, and they're going to be in the rooms. The hallways are going to be dark. I never understood why that bothered people.
I don't think it bothers me, but it does seem like a big suspension of disbelief because I've been in hospitals for extended periods of time, and they are bright and they are busy, and it doesn't matter what the hell time it is. At least that's how it's been from my experience, and I'm not from a big city. So.
I love this guy. Not to change the subject, but I love this guy, Charles Soppers. You let him out.
Oh, yeah, Charles Soppers.
They wouldn't listen. I tried to keep them in.
You let him out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Loomis is like, hey, I tried. I'm sorry you killed your daughter, but I tried.
Shoot them all. Shoot them all.
I'd be like, hey, you were the one that didn't believe me a couple hours ago, dumbass.
There he is. Shoot him.
Pull over right here. Right there. Stop. I'm just going to start.
Loomis is about to go all fucking death wish, man. He's about to just pop everybody.
Anybody with a white mask on is getting popped tonight.
Anybody in the way is taking a bullet.
Look here. Here we go.
That kid is.
And this is supposed to be the date of Laurie in the first movie, right? This is Ben Tramer they were talking about, right?
Ben Tramer, yes, this is Ben Tramer. Yep.
He's really committed to the bit because he's walking like a fucking zombie.
Supposedly he was
Yeah,
drunk.
he's got a
He's
candy
not walking
bag and
anymore.
everything, man.
Okay, explain this then. Like,
Damn.
it was like they were trying to kill him. Like, that's the only explanation for that. There, I killed him.
Well, Anthony
got
Masi
explosions,
mentioned- Anthony Masi-
blood, we got everything, man.
Well,
This
in
did more like
regards
Michael
to
Myers
this,
getting out of the cop car.
yeah, in regards to this scene, Anthony Masi was hilarious during our first commentary where he said, after the guy gets hit by the car and burns up, there's like no consequences at all for anybody. It's like, it happens.
Yeah. Cops, they're not very good drivers.
Yep,
One of them was
Dick Wallach.
Annie.
Yeah.
Wait.
One of them was Annie.
Annie. His reaction is perhaps.
Oh, gosh.
Loomis still got his gun out. He's like, fuck it.
He's like, I got a permit for it. Let's go. Now, when you saw Halloween 2, Mike, did you see it in the theater or did you see it at home?
No, I saw it at my friend's house on that
On
Spectrovision
Spectrovision.
thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The first one I saw in theaters was part 3.
Okay.
Been odd.
What does everybody think about the television version of this one?
The only thing I remember about the only thing I remember different about the television version from this version is like sequences. Is like there's a lot more like POVs of Michael like walking downstairs and upstairs
Right.
and stuff. That's really the only thing I remember about.
Wasn't the ending different?
Oh, the ending is different. Yeah,
The ending.
the TV version ending is they put her in the back of the ambulance and he rises up with the sheet over his head. They want you to think he's Michael Myers, but it's him, and he's like, "We survived" or something, and then they drive away.
Yeah.
Strangely enough, his name Jimmy Lloyd? Would he be Jamie's father?
Yes, I think you might.
Because there was kind of a hint that they would start dating in that different ending. Because he's kind of flirting with her throughout the whole movie.
Lance Guest,
that
the
makes
Last
sense.
Starfighter. Who directed Last Starfighter?
Nick Castle.
Nick Castle. Yeah, that's
When I think
I
of
didn't-
Lance Guest, I think of Jaws 4.
The Revenge.
not his most shining moment.
Yes. Yeah.
Probably not his go-to credit that he brags about.
Yeah, I'm sure when Lance
Starfighter
Guest
all the
thinks
way.
of his film career, the last movie he thinks of is Jaws 4. He probably denies he's even in Jaws 4. Stop it. Yeah, it wasn't me.
Hey, there's Dana
And the guy
Carvey
back-
in the blue coat.
Yeah, I was getting ready to
Yeah.
say the guy back there in the blue puffer jacket and blue cap is Dana Carvey.
All he does is nod. He doesn't have any lines. But
Yeah.
All he does is nod. Yeah.
one day work with Michael Myers again.
Wayne's World. Wayne's World.
His big screen debut, and what a debut.
Party on, Garth.
Yeah. Party on, Wayne.
So people do things because they only want money.
They actually got
Poor
Nancy
Annie.
Loomis back just to play the dead body.
Here comes
Yeah.
the line, though. You let him out.
You let him out.
I always thought she was. Of the three girls, Annie, Lori, and PJ Souls' character. I thought she was the cutest. I liked her the best.
I think she had the worst dialogue.
I would have to agree with that. She was probably the spunkiest, so that made her more attractive.
Right. And I can only handle so many totallys.
Exactly.
Like, you might recall you weren't even listening to me earlier tonight when I told you this guy was running around, but now you're going to blame me for the whole thing.
Yeah.
If
It's
only
like
you listened to me
instant Loomis hate. Yeah.
Yeah. Only you listened to me an hour and a half ago, asshole.
But at least this cop's smart. Instead of just telling Loomis to screw off, he actually listens to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it took like 6 dead bodies.
Somebody in the comment section, Michael Powell in the comment section of the YouTube channel said, "Are we watching Zombies uncut or theatrical? Thanks."
Okay.
No thanks.
I'm hoping that was a joke, but
There will be no skull fucking in this movie.
No rape scenes. No crazy shit. No cows.
No trailer parks.
Now, guys, is this a John Carpenter scene right here that was directed, or?
yes, this scene was a Carpenter scene, I do believe.
Okay, because that was new to me. I didn't know that.
He's a denim cowboy with a boombox.
Because there was no connecting scenes. Michael just kind of shows up at the hospital. There was nothing that connects how did he know Lori was there?
Right.
Yeah, because he hears it on the radio as that kid walks past him.
Movies taught me that nurses are really horny. Not very professional.
Especially the candy
From my experience, they really are.
All they want to do is like go to parties, and if they're stuck with their shift, then they still find a way to get some.
Guys, they just want an excuse to get off their feet.
I guess they just wanted to get their feet up in the air.
Oh gosh.
We've got our buddy Arnar Horror Hunter watching tonight, and he actually calls me the Antichrist. So I'll take that as a compliment. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, good sir.
He also said, "How about that bracket line with the Franklin voice?"
Izzel, you're now the Dark Lord.
Thank you. But yeah, just a reminder, everybody out there, if you want to tweet us questions or comments, we'll read them live on air at TSF Nation Twitter, or in the comments section of the YouTube video. Leave us questions, comments, and we'll get around to reading them.
So the mask in this movie is the mask that was used in the first film, right?
It's supposed to be.
I think it's supposed to be.
The best the mask looks. I like it best in this movie.
I think they just dirtied it up a little bit and like faded the color on the neck. But yeah, I do too. I think the mask in this one looks, but I mean, I think the whole characterization of Michael in this one is just more demonic. So the mask just looks more sort of demonic to me.
Well, Deborah Hill said one time that was the same mask. She kept it under her bed for a couple of years, and when they decided to do the sequel, she pulled it out, and it was dirty and nasty looking, and they just kept it that way. And of course, Dick Warlock's head is a different shape than Nick Castle, so they said that was the reason why it looked different.
Yeah, I think it looks cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
I think it looks the best in this movie.
It was right there.
In the TV
It was the same.
version, this guy has to sing a completely different song, which is kind of funny.
Yeah. Amazing.
I don't even
Grace.
remember.
Amazing Grace.
Character of the
Come
guy
over
in
to my place.
what is it, Friday the 13th Part 3 or 4, the start where he breaks out of the morgue.
That's part 4.
Yeah, Part 4. Same type of character.
Yeah,
Oh
basically.
yeah. It's
Smoking a
like,
joint with the-
I only do this job to hook up with the horny nurses.
Get in where you fit in, player.
Back security guard. Not doing his job.
Come on, Cole.
Yeah,
He's been
how about-
treated to death tonight.
How about this? I think that she'd actually be under police guard, but, that doesn't come up. Even if they confirmed Michael was dead, which they couldn't, still be under police guard. But hey, we got this guy.
Well, this was
That
the
guy's a
early 80s.
police force.
Actually, it's supposed to be 78 still.
Still be 78, yeah.
And
Yeah.
security was a little more lax back in those days.
Well, and I mean, the guy smoking a joint like right in the cafeteria at work. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's very comfortable with his station in life there.
He is, yes.
Yes.
Tucks that
What's his
roach
name,
wood
Bud?
for later. Save that one for later.
That'll come in handy when I'm in the sauna
Yeah.
here in just a little bit, you know.
He's got his whole night ahead of him. His whole night is planned.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, here she is.
If I got to work on Halloween, I'm going to be high.
He's like, there's only one scene I want to be straight in. You know what it is.
Well, if he wasn't straight, he wouldn't have been in that scene.
Amazing Grace.
Not that kind of straight.
Straight actor, give me a break.
Good one.
That's a good one, Cole.
Rock on.
Oh,
Cole.
gosh.
Rock on.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Real talk.
See, look at him. He's giving the younger guy some advice. He's got it all figured out. He's like the authority of the hospital.
Doesn't he like call him
got her-
college boy at one point? I think he calls him college boy. Yeah.
You're going college
It's
boy.
like, but look,
We've got
I didn't go to college. We got the same job.
B. Junior, you've been called out by R&R Horror Hunter to do the bracket line in the Franklin voice.
The bracket line.
Yeah. You let him out!
Let him out. Let me get into character.
Sally, you let him out!
They took the keys, Sally. They took the keys. They took the keys.
Ah!
You let him out.
Oh my God!
You have to drag everything out and back up at the same time. That's how you do parting. Now I'm gonna honk the horn just one more time. One more time.
If I was Michael, I
Now,
would
Sally,
flip some of those babies around.
That would have been.
We got to put Texas Chainsaw in tonight, man. Dang.
I think they keep showing those babies to kind of make you, that much more uneasy.
Yeah, just like, would he stab a baby?
Stabbing every baby in there.
Look at him in there twitching. Baby's going for it, man.
Now, maybe if they had made him listen to Nickelback, he might have started stabbing them babies.
But you notice in that scene, Michael walks off camera behind him. In the television version, the full screen version, you miss out on a lot of Michael Myers' action. You can't see him in those scenes because of the cut.
Right.
Frame.
Yeah, that 4:3 cropping really screws it up.
Yeah. I can't stand to watch full screen movies anymore hardly. I really can't. Unless that was the way they were originally filmed,
I remember back in the old days, people were like, why are you watching the letterbox version? You're missing half of it. And like, you don't understand. If you're watching the full screen, you're missing half of it.
Yeah. I've always tried to explain that to my relatives. I'm like, they're like, they cut their heads off, man. They cut their heads off. I'm like, no, that's the way it was framed, man.
That's the
So
actual
I remember you had to. There was. I was in a video store one time, and there was a guy came in swearing that the DVD that he had rented was defective because of the black bars at the bottom and top of the screen, and demanding his money back. And the video store guy's trying to convince him you're actually seeing more of the movie this way, and the guy's head just about explodes. Like you know, like he cannot wrap his mind around that. I remember at Walmart they used to have a sign that said full screen, no black bars, because so many people were returning widescreen DVDs complaining about the black bars and wanting to return them because they felt like they were seeing less of the movie.
I think now, since pretty much everybody has a widescreen TV, you don't have to make that argument quite as often.
Exactly, yeah. The TV kind of does it for you, so, yeah. But that happened.
Impersonate the guy that you saw at the video store. Well, it looks like it's smaller than me, goddammit.
Sally?
I don't like these black bars. I'm only seeing half the movie. No, so you're actually seeing more of the movie this way. Bullshit! I didn't just fall off the turnip truck yesterday, son.
Kentucky.
Yeah, it's pretty complicated. I can understand why a nurse couldn't figure out a walkie-talkie. Jesus.
Push to talk, release to listen. Boy, that is difficult.
I know. Now, would you come in and, dress my wounds?
Maybe she didn't keep switching the channels on it. She might actually be able to talk to him.
Again, it's 1978, and that's really high tech, I guess.
That was.
Yeah, good point.
High tech right there.
Breaker, come back.
This is Papa Bear.
10-1-9 for a radio check.
We get that radio check.
Oh, man. I miss those days.
Reminds me of the old family vacays in the 70s, man. My dad always had his CB radio, and he would talk to the truckers and get directions and stuff. That shit was hilarious.
Buddy of mine I went to high school with, he had a CB radio in his truck, and I'd get on there and just like try to incite the truckers. You gonna fight me? Come over here to this Walmart parking lot. I'll fight you right now, buddy.
There was one time we're driving down the road, and these truckers are talking about this woman on the side of the road, which they refer to as a beaver. Like, holy shit, did you see that beaver walking down the side of the road? And one trucker gets past this person, turns around and goes, holy shit, it's got a beard. That ain't no beaver. It's a goddamn buffalo. I guess he was wearing short pants and, from behind, and long hair. It looked like a chick, but it was a dude.
Right.
It all went bad, and that's why they made Joyride.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
No, I was messing with a police scanner one time, and I came across this couple doing a little sexy talk over the CB one time.
Nice.
Those were the days, man. Before sexting, there was CB talk.
Before phone sex, there was CB sex.
It was proto-phone sex.
I remember.
You got all the pauses in there.
I used to call up a truck stop and be like, "Yeah, let me speak to a lot lizard. You holler at a lot lizard for me."
Lot lizard, yeah.
Did you hear that?
This security guard is hilarious.
And everywhere there's like stuff like in the background, it's so he can fall backwards into it. Garbage can, boxes, whatever, so that he can fall into it.
This is like Paul Pertain's younger brother or something. This is Bill Partain.
I'm nervous because my brother just got killed in Texas.
Some kind of crazy can of
security business.
Only person that survived was Sally.
Oh, poor old Paul. Poor old Paul. He went down to Texas, never came back. She's like, what the hell did you just say?
What's he 20?
What's your 20?
What's he 20?
Come back,
Your
good
radio
buddy.
That's a big old
I'm
10
parked in behind this huddle house with a lot lizard. You gotta give me 10 minutes, there, brother.
Maybe if you would have taken the time to tell her, it's on the right channel. When you hear me talk, push the button on the side, reply to me, and then release it and hear me talk again. It's not that fucking difficult. Tell you, it would have taken him 5 seconds.
Look at her shaking that thing. She's just shaking it around.
Got that kind of time, man.
Just screaming at it.
Shake weight. Oh, more stuff falling on him.
This poor dope's having the worst night, man. Check this guy out.
So it's only gonna get worse.
He's
They
just
stacked them
like,
boxes up on purpose.
yeah.
It's a great sound effect. It's like ping.
In-house, doghouse.
Dear Penthouse form.
Dear Penthouse, I miss my brother. He went down to Texas and got 8.
Okay, I like that little look of, yeah, everything's okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like,
He's like, you damn right.
Isn't
Damn, damn right. Oh!
I
Yeah.
love that sound.
It's like metal on metal or something there.
The guy got a metal plate in Nam. Then again, I don't think he would have survived Nam. No way.
Nah.
Lord have
Whoa.
mercy.
Crispy. Hey, little trivia. This is the deputy sheriff from Jaws.
Yeah, it
Carter
is.
here.
Yep, playing the corner.
Yeah.
Huh.
He was at the Mad Monster party year before last down in Charlotte. I didn't get his autograph though, but he was there with the Jaws reunion.
Cool.
Ah, cool.
Talked to him a little bit. He's an interesting guy. He did a lot of plays and stuff before he got into doing on-film roles and stuff.
This movie also introduced the whole Samhain, that whole angle. Do you guys remember?
Right.
Yeah, in the school building when they find the
Yeah.
drawing.
They call it like Samhain. They mispronounce it.
Samhain.
Yeah.
That was a popular mispronunciation from back in the day.
Yeah.
I thought it was for years. Typical reaction. Darn house! This is all that empty house's fault.
A little bit of horror punk trivia. When Danzig left the Misfits, he formed Samhain, which everybody called Sam Hain.
Sam Hain,
Yep.
yeah.
I never heard of that band referred to as Samhain. It was always Sam Hain.
Oh, there he goes. He goes, heightens my sense of security.
I bet Glenn Danzig kicked many a guy in the teeth for mispronouncing that name too.
I just love Donald Pleasance's voice, man. He just got a great voice.
Yeah.
I wish he could have stayed on as Blofeld. He was the best Blofeld. We're not going home until we show this house how pissed we are.
But I wonder, I wonder what
again.
I wonder what Carpenter had in mind when he was like, let's throw this Samhain stuff in there. Why not? Let's just throw that in there for some reason. I wonder if he, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, I'm sure he was maybe researching the origins of Halloween. He thought, oh, that's kind of a cool, creepy thing. Let me throw that in there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, that whole thing was explored further in Part 6.
Well, it might have been part of the same drinking session where he came up with the whole brother-sister angle.
Yeah.
I'm sure, probably. Yeah.
Seems like I
Yeah.
remember an interview I saw one time with Carpenter where he was talking about how they approached him about it and he was kind of locked into the deal, but he just didn't have any ideas on hand. He didn't have it prepared in a desk, so he just had to kind of whip it up. Basically, he didn't really have any formidable ideas to put forth.
Yeah, he was busy trying to get the fog going, so his mind was elsewhere.
And Escape from New York and all those other projects he was doing.
It's only a little after 11 now. So the events of like the first Halloween were basically like until like what, 10?
Yeah, yeah. It's pretty quick.
Pretty much as soon as the sun went down, the action started.
Yeah.
Let's go to the school. While she checks on the buzzer, I'm going to check on the bathroom.
Go for it, man. You know, even though, I mean, the hospital is probably darker than it should be and more deserted than it should be, it's still pretty freaking creepy.
I've always found hospitals creepy anyway.
Yeah.
But for me,
Would it have been creepier if all the lights were on and, like, you know, there were more people? Would that have made it creepier?
No, when he's talking towards the end of the movie, man, it was really creepy. It gets my adrenaline going still to this day. Like, it's pretty epic, in my opinion.
I always found hospitals creepy, especially like abandoned hospitals. The idea of any place where people died or whatever.
I know there was another slasher film that came out after this one called Visiting Hours, about a news reporter that was being stalked by Michael Ironside, Psycho, and William Shatner was actually in it as her boss.
Yeah, yeah.
That guy was stalking her around the hospital, and it was a lot busy. Of course, it was a metropolitan area.
That was currently on Netflix, right, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely a pretty cool watch. It's not, the same as Halloween, but it's still a good movie.
Right.
I mean, there's some survival horror games that use it pretty well. I think Silent Hill has some stuff in its hospital. The third Resident Evil isn't that great, but one of its better sequences, you have to go into a hospital and you're down in the labs and the rooms and stuff. I always found that to be one of the scarier parts of that game and stuff. Hospitals, just
Suffering has some hospital scenes too.
What was it?
The Suffering? I don't know if you guys ever played that.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And the hospital is all bright and full of people in the sixth one. Which leads to like the most violent scene in the entire series. Where he just goes in and massacres like 5 surgeons.
Yeah.
Well, that took place in the old
That was
institution where he broke out of in the first one.
Well, yeah, it wasn't actually a hospital. It was the medical
Smith's
ward
Grove.
or whatever.
Let's see, those hallways are pretty lit up. Some of them are darker, but if some areas are not occupied, they're not just going to have all the lights on unless they need them on.
Right.
Oh, look, repressed memories.
Gotta tell the backstory.
Yeah. Of course, I mean, this was also, wasn't it the same year that Empire Strikes Back came out, and Luke, I'm Your Father was, the big thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people, I guess, who, again, were old enough to have seen the first one before this one came out, some people expressed disappointment that they came up with that angle, but being, somebody that was basically aware of the connection before I ever saw the movies, I can't say that it felt, bad or tacked on, because I was just used to seeing it that way. I saw the first one fully knowing that that's his sister before it's ever revealed, so I can't put myself in I can't put myself in the headspace of having seen the movie and just say, okay, he's stalking her because maybe it reminds him of his sister, and there's vague reasons, blah blah blah. A lot of people expressed disappointment the second one that they came up with that connection. They felt it wasn't needed, and they're probably right. But I can't think of it that way. I just can't.
Uh-oh.
I was the same way. I saw the second one first, so it didn't bother me.
Man, look at this pimp. He's done hanging out. He's done hanging out in the sauna now. Hey.
I guess some trivia on this scene is that water was actually cold. It wasn't heated.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think I can tell.
Yeah, here. We're going to put it to the test. Here it comes. We're going to put it to the test. Yeah,
Hello.
I think it is. I think it was definitely cold. Yeah.
You could cut glass on that thing.
I put my eye out. Dang it, put my eye out.
That's what they're supposed to look like. Hell yeah.
Mike likes them all natural.
I like them natural.
That's
Looks
it.
like back in my day, there was none of this fake shit.
All the way.
Michael playing his tricks. It's interesting to think of like how the series would have gone if they didn't take the, Michael is her brother route. How the rest of the series would have gone, or I don't think it's a huge hindrance to the rest of the series, but it ascribes him a motive, and one of the best things about the original is that he's just it ascribes him a human motive, and one of the best things about the original was that he seemed more than human. He wasn't like we talked about for Halloween 1. Carpenter did such a good job of making Michael Myers like a force of nature, this omnipresent thing.
Well, it would have become like Friday the 13th, where it's just random people in the wrong place at the wrong time, which you can only do that so many times before it becomes ridiculous, because sooner or later you're going to hear, don't go there. So
Right.
that's kind of a weakness of those films. Especially day after day after day, you're like, wait a minute, all this news footage is coming out, these people were slaughtered, let's go somewhere else. But
Right.
they
had an original. They had an interesting idea for part 4 before they went with Jamie's or Laurie's daughter. Was that the town had repressed Halloween? They tried to erase Halloween from the history books, and the more that they tried to repress it, the more it gave Michael Myers more of a supernatural quality. They tried to repress Halloween, and that's what brought Michael Myers back.
kind of
Instead
similar
of him
to
simply
the way Valentine's Bluffs repressed Valentine's Day.
Yeah, something to that effect. Yeah.
How could you not tell? His hands were dirty and covered in shit,
Yeah. She's like stuck in his thumb. God, your thumb's nasty. Go wash your hands.
Did you stick that in your ass? What the hell?
It's like cold and covered in grime and
Michael.
blood. God knows what else.
But his hand is totally unscathed.
Yeah, I believe that. He's been shot 6 times. 7. Yeah, I would have left her in.
Ugh.
Some fine detective work.
Yeah. Over here. Yeah, we got this over here.
all we need now is a cop eating a donut, another cop like smoking a cigarette at the scene of the crime.
Or
I'd
a
like to
cop
think
like-
those are children's drawings, but that he drew them himself and left them there.
Well,
All
at
this
least these
thing
guys,
is the cop putting his finger in the blood going, It's blood.
I think that's blood. Yep, that's blood.
At least
Even
these
on
guys
the job, it's not bad. You don't recognize blood after
No,
you-
it's semen.
At least these guys weren't the caricatures of cops like those Keystone cops from Part 5, I think it was, when they went out to that farm for the party.
God.
And the,
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
comic
my
relief
God.
cops, those guys were annoying.
Yeah,
but they
really.
knew it too. The guy's like, "Good thing we're lousy cops." Like they say that. They know. They're self-aware.
The look on the cop's face.
Good acting, dude.
Yeah.
Just look like you have no idea what the hell's going on.
Huh?
And take.
Smoking in the hallways.
Yeah, check out the dude Zamboni in the floor back there. He's working that thing, man.
Have you guys met him at a convention? Or is he not appearing?
Yeah.
Kitty.
He's only charging 30.
$40 for his autograph.
Yeah.
Yeah, he charged me $100 for an autograph and an extra $50 for a picture with him. Worth every penny.
He's
Totally
actually
worth it.
proposed with his Zamboni, and it's only $200 to take a picture with that.
Yeah, but how much does he charge off the floor?
You guys know what a Zamboni is? What the fuck?
What do you call that thing?
Oh yeah, Zamboni's for the ice rink. Let's see, that's a floor polisher
I
or
don't-
something.
It's just
I don't know what they're called. That's why I call it that.
Damn Southerners.
I know what a Zamboni is. I don't know what the hell that thing is.
I guess
Carolina
it's a
Hurricanes, man.
Woo! They're the worst team in the league this year, but they
Yeah,
did win a couple of years ago.
you'd be proud of me, Cole. I actually watched hockey about a week ago,
Very proud.
and I enjoyed it.
I've seen Sudden Death. I know all about it.
Sudden Death's awesome. Jean-Claude Van Damme and hockey. Oh, I love that movie. And he beats the snot out of a woman in a penguin costume.
He's
That's
still my heart.
That's the next live commentary.
That just says Miller time. That's Miller time right there.
Love Sudden Death, man.
How's that Captain
Power.
Morgan rum, Mike?
It's
Power's
gonna be
Boost is
fine.
awesome.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. You're not working tomorrow, are you, buddy?
No, I'm on vacation this week.
Oh, dude.
Ah.
It's a good week to be off.
Man.
We were having a staring contest and she won.
Do you think that, like I said, I guess they're really in on saving money here. They don't even turn on the lights in this situation. It's like, she's flatlining. Well, no need to turn the lights on. We're on a budget here. We gotta save some electricity.
If I'm not mistaken, this was like a small part of a VA hospital. And I got to be honest, I work in veterans work. VA hospitals look exactly like this even today. That's sad, but it's true.
Wow.
They don't renovate very often, but when they do it pretty good. But it takes them a long time to get funding.
Doctor's got it pretty good. He's got like his own huge office.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got like
Pictures of
his own pimp shack here. Man, he's got an aquarium.
Aquarium. All the framed photos of paintings
Yeah.
of birds you can get.
Look at this, man. He's got a pimp daddy shack in here, man. He's got
Yeah.
file cabinets,
Look at all
He
of
must
this.
have been out pimping earlier because he was drunk earlier in the early scenes.
sitting around rocking his
Got back from the
flannel.
party.
Got his flannel going there, yeah.
Like Michael's most precise kill. How did he manage?
Oh.
That takes finesse.
That heroin finally got him.
That was a great film. It's gonna like melt out of the shadows. Oh, that's great. See, look how good the mask looks there. Why can't it always look that good?
Oh, here we go.
Oh, ooh.
Why aren't you blinking? Oh, he injected oxygen into her brain through her eyeball.
Yes.
Yes.
Sure.
I was.
Just go with it. Just go with it. Go with it.
Precisely.
Ladies
This is a
lounge.
good one. This is a good one here too.
Yeah.
Guy wipes out in that big puddle of blood.
Very Argento-like blood. You know, the blood that looks nothing
Yes.
like blood.
Yes.
It's like melted crayons or something. I don't know. Well, she's comatose, and she's just kind of, there's a telephone. Well,
They're on a budget. They just spilled Kool-Aid on the floor. They're like, fuck it, let's call it a day. It's good.
They spilled a tab on the ground.
RC.
I could go for an RC and a moon pie right about now.
RC and the moon pie.
Basketball. No, it's not. It's a pumpkin. I was really dumb there. I thought it was a basketball.
Yeah, you're right, Cole, man. The mask looks really good in this one. Man, it really does.
I always thought so. People complain about it, but I thought it looked great.
I think it's
Yeah,
the best
I think
it looks,
that's
because it looks like one, but it's just a little more worn and beat up. And it looks really good in the lighting. The lighting in this movie is really good.
At least he didn't bury the floorboards of his house and then pull it out half rotted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
Fuck was up
I
with
think
that?
I have no problem with how the mask looks in those movies. It's just every single other thing. I think the mask looks okay in those movies too.
I
But
had a problem with young Michael putting on that mask to kill his sister.
Yeah.
You could tell that the mask was modeled for the adult Michael Myers because it was like 14 sizes too big. This looks stupid.
I think Dick Warlock does an excellent job in this movie. The only gripe I've ever had is he's kind of skinny, a little skinny around the edges.
He's very stiff too.
Yeah, he's just got the robotic thing going, but
I mean, look at Jamie Lee Curtis got paid a lot of money to do this, and she's laid in bed for most of the movie, comatose. I mean, that's a good gig, do you know?
Well, maybe as far as Michael Myers goes, when he got shot 6 times, maybe his humanity did die. And the only thing that was left was the evil will to kill. Kind of like zombie Jason in a way.
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that's one way you could look at it.
certainly explains
I
some
was like
things
the-
later on, like
I was
how he
sort
could
of-
survive these comas.
I always thought it was very creepy the way he walked, though. It was very...
Yeah.
Just straightforward, on a mission, not going to be stopped.
It's a much creepier Michael Myers than the first film.
You really need to see both this one and the first one to really fully appreciate Michael.
yeah. I do love the mask, but I miss the kitchen knife. The scalpel really doesn't do it for me. I don't know why, it just doesn't.
Well, small. This is
Well,
pretty
he-
cool. He goes to the nurse in a second, though. Lift it
I'm
right up.
just nerding out massively.
He left his original knife at the scene when he got shot. And then he
Right.
grabbed that knife from the old lady, and he left that at the school for some reason.
Yeah.
So I guess because of the hospital setting, they felt it would be... He would grab whatever was available, and the scalpel would be the thing he would grab. But yeah, I kind of agree. It's with the butcher knife, it's a little more iconic.
Seems to be kind of a nod to that again in the sixth one, where like he finds this like in the medical area. There's like a tray that's got all these instruments on them, including the scalpel, and he like, for some reason, there's just like this massive blade that I don't know what his medical purpose is except lopping off limbs, and he's just like, yes, and he takes that.
I was like, what the fuck is he grabbing a machete for? That's like Jason's thing.
I agree with what V Jr. said, but the part at the end, or close to the end, where he says get away from him, and then he slits his throat, I thought that's a really epic moment with the scalpel.
Oh yeah, that works pretty good.
Well, he's about to kill that other nurse at the scalpel. He lifts her right up from the back. That's good.
Yeah, that's pretty good too.
Oh, he's not going to cooperate. Notice he's sitting in the back. You
Imagine if
idiot.
that became his trademark weapon, though. That's what he's known for, like, today.
Carrying a scalpel.
It's just-
Dr. Michael.
The nurse gets the scalpel in the back and gets lifted up off the ground. I always thought she was the hottest nurse in the hospital.
First nurse to realize something's actually going on here. Oh, everyone seems to be missing.
Where'd everybody go?
They should have made her security.
Put on the hat.
So what's everybody dressing up for Halloween as?
Frankenstein's monster.
Frankenstein's monster. That's a good one.
I'm just gonna hang out at the house and hand out candy and watch movies.
There you go.
I'll put my ears on, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Get a lot of trick-or-treaters out your way, Mike.
Oh, not a whole lot, but a few. Probably between 15 and 20.
Oh, okay. One of my favorite things about Halloween was dressing up and handing out candy and scaring all the neighborhood kids, but where I live now, I unfortunately have no trick-or-treaters.
I haven't had trick-or-treaters in years.
Guys, I'll be back. I gotta put the dogs to bed.
Who let the dogs out? Barry.
Shadow! Shadow! You idiot!
Stingray, get at me, dog.
My dog's dead.
Major surgery.
Stingray, what you doing for Halloween, man?
Man, I'm taking the kids over to my parents' place because, similar to what you guys said, they don't really do it in my neighborhood. So I think we've had like one trick-or-treater in our neighborhood the whole time we've lived there, like 7 years. So
Like a boss. I know what that's like, Pizzo, though. I had a house, one neighborhood I lived in, or one town, and like we got like $50 worth of candy, and then no one came that whole entire night.
Oh,
yeah. Sucks.
I made that mistake like 2 years in a row and never again, you know? I don't buy anything. Like, you come by, I give you a box of raisins or some shit.
That's a bad thing, though, because you got like candy for days then. You know, just buy the shit you like.
Yeah.
And that way, if you get stuck with it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Oh!
Boom, son. You wiped out. Now, in the theatrical version, he is dead. That killed him. That blow killed him. Well, I mean, he shows up later, but he is dead. The TV version, he survives.
But that was awful intricate. You know, that kill, too, was another one. It was like, would he really take the time to put the IV in her arm and then tape it up and leave it hanging to drain her blood? You know, that just seemed very kind of out of place.
Right, yeah.
Cool, though. Cool scene.
Get into the car and leave. That's a good idea. But Michael thought of everything. Flashing tires.
It's amazing what a scalpel can do. It really is.
Whoever makes that brand use commercials for like, it flashes tires.
Horror movies aren't dumb. You learn a lot from them. See.
Yeah, it would be hard to slash a tire with a scalpel, wouldn't it?
But the ambulance looks okay.
I know, go for the ambulance.
It might be pretty easy if it's a Firestone, but you know, you just gotta take your.
Really? Oh, it's so relevant.
What the hell building is that? There's from the outside, that's a hospital. Halloween.
Work, what you doing for Halloween, son?
Handing out candy, watching as many horror movies as I can, And that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I
And then
feel you.
try not to eat all the candy I have left over, which will be really bad. But I have to order some like insulin from Amazon, maybe. I don't know. Hold off DVDs and Blu-rays for a while, you know.
What you doing for Halloween? I'm gonna catch me a case of diabetes.
Diabetes. Diabetes.
You gotta get that
Brimley
two-day
style.
shipping on that though.
Yeah, no, you need to
We'll
open
die.
it.
Order that shit like on Monday, just in case.
Oh, here it
You
comes.
on Sunday, you're screwed.
She's like, you can't help me. You're dead already. See,
Oh.
told you. The shoes.
They kind of emulated this sequence in H2O, too.
Yeah, when he stabs Lori's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Do. Ah, fine.
This scene has a refreshing lack of LL Cool J.
The one thing I've never said in my life, this movie could use some LL Cool J.
Yeah.
I remember being so excited as
I
a
don't know,
kid
trust-
watching this part.
Listen, if it's between LL Cool J or Busta Rhymes, give me LL Cool J.
Same here. At least he was good in Deep Blue Sea. That's the movie. That was his moment.
I say give me none, but if I had to choose, yeah, I would agree.
Deep Blue
Yeah.
Sea. His amazing catchphrase. You killed my bird.
Well, at least LL Cool J has been pretending to be an actor for quite a bit longer than Busta Rhymes has.
Yeah.
He's a little bit better, though. I mean, NCIS, what is it, Los Angeles? He's not too bad on that.
Oh, there he is.
Foreign actors.
Well, and Michael has to be pretty strong to hoist him up there like that. I mean, for real.
Yeah.
That's some
He's-
superhuman strength.
He's seen his share of Twinkies.
Does
That's for
that,
sure.
except, like, they have, like, the light, like, they carve out the inside of his chest and stick the light in. What movie does that? Where it's almost the same thing. Is that H2O?
Like
Yeah,
a
the
human
girl-
jack-o'-lantern?
Yeah.
The one girl he kills, I think, in the kitchen.
Yeah.
okay.
You're gonna get away! Oh god!
He seems so haphazard here, just sort of like, get here. Come on. No? Okay.
You'd think you would hit her at least once with that damn thing.
It's all part of the thrill of the chase. He doesn't have to try as hard as he
You are
has.
doing this scene, just fucking wave your hands around. You're not gonna kill her anyway.
Wave your hands around.
Get
The
down
cool
here.
J would have been there. You just said wave your hands around like you just don't care.
If Busta Rhymes there, he would have kung fu'd his ass.
Hoo-ha, hoo-ha.
Oh, God.
Do that Busta Rhymes impression again. Do that.
Trick or treat, motherfucker!
Break yourself.
What did he say when he's in the body bag and he opens it? He's like, crispy fried motherfucker or something?
Crispy fried motherfucker.
I'll never watch that shit again, man. So
I purged
never
most
mind.
of that from my memory. I really remember almost nothing because it was off.
Entertainment!
Yeah, but the final
There's
girl
something-
in that flick was hot.
She was. I'll give you that.
And it's still a better movie than Rob Zombie's.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
The award winner compared to that shit, in my opinion.
At least Resurrection's only 90 minutes, and then you're done with it. Zombies
Yeah.
Halloween feels like it's 3
I'm
hours
done
long.
with it forever, that's for sure.
It may be the Batman and Robin of the Halloween series, but it's still more entertaining than some of the later entries.
Let's not get started on that again.
I had to throw that in there.
Oh,
Real
God.
talk.
Real talk. Yep.
Oh,
Nice car.
showing some leg
And
there.
then your 57 Chevy or whatever the hell that is.
That's
Looks like a 57.
that's Lance Guest's car.
Canary yellow, though, that's a terrible color for that car.
I like the Mustang across there.
Needs
Yeah.
bigger fins. Man, they knew how to make cars in the 50s.
It's because they're from America.
Yeah, I know.
Detroit.
Back when the U.S. auto industry was the envy of the world.
But they were made out of steel and built like tanks. You couldn't afford to drive them.
America.
Like 5 miles to the gallon.
Like, what do Americans want? Want it big, like a boat? Give it some fins.
I like this federal marshal's car. He's got the one little caution light in his back window.
A very long sequence without him.
I like it when Lumens goes apeshit on this marshal here. You fire a warning shot, right? Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Guns are so loud they all would have went, oh, fuck!
Yeah, yeah. They'd all been deaf after that.
It'd be like, what'd you say?
Bleeding out of their
shit.
ears or something.
Blast them flying faces and eyes.
Yeah. Another good Donald Pleasance role is when he plays the president in Escape from New York.
Oh, yeah.
You are the Duke of New York.
Where Carpenter? Oh, there was a file even you weren't allowed to see, which doesn't make any sense at all.
It's a stupid
What reason would it be that he wouldn't be able to see that file, even though Michael was his patient?
He would have been the one guy that saw everything.
Yeah. Although again, if you go with the continuity of 4, 5, and 6, you could say that Wynn kept it from him on purpose.
Yes.
Yeah. That's probably a loophole that they tried to exploit. Hey, that piece of dialogue right there gives us a little bit of leeway.
I just wish we could get back to this, like having a sequel every couple of years, something to look forward to. The reboots.
I still can't believe that they haven't made another Friday the 13th one. The last one came out in 2009, and it's still the king of horror movies in terms of sequels.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Where's it at?
How many of you guys are ready to pop this in next and watch this? You guys ready?
I can't pop it in because I don't own it. Can you believe that?
Why would I want to torture myself with that? Let's just go for Rob Zombie's Halloween. Come on.
Oh, hey now.
Come on.
Oh, God. That's asking a lot, Orc.
You guys better start funding 31, alright? Because it's going to be a masterpiece, I'll tell you that much. Get your money in and your donations in right now. You might get a credit, spot the credits.
Has anything leaked about what that movie is supposed to be about, or anything?
It's some kind of yeah, he talked about it in some interview I saw. It sounds like some kind of a woman. It sounds almost like The Running Man, except with like some kind of crazy murders, clown freaks or something. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't sound like anything I'd want to watch.
Okay, well, set it in the late 70s. Throw in some cursing and redneck fanfare. Man, you got a Rob Zombie film.
Some cursing?
Yeah, like some cursing? Non-stop cursing?
Yeah, non-stop
cursing. You guys forgot the key element, Sherry Moon Zombie.
Oh, yeah.
I say.
The greatest actress of our time.
I know Lords of Salem, a lot of people like that movie, but I just couldn't stand it.
Still haven't seen it.
I didn't like it.
Watched it.
Couldn't get into it.
Yeah, could not get into it.
I couldn't get it in anything he's done. Anything.
I liked House of a Thousand Corpses, and I really liked the sequel to that. But after that, nothing.
Yeah, me too.
I'm a big fan of Devil's Rejects, but
a lot of people like Devil's Rejects. It's entertaining, I will say. Like, start to finish, I wanted to watch it, but I don't know. It's such a fucked up, stupid angle for a movie. Like, it's, you know, if I was one of those people that really cared about that sort of stuff, it's morally reprehensible. Like, he's trying to make heroes out of sick bastards and demonize the guy that's trying to kill them, which is kind of weird. and they're just annoying. I don't get like his ideas of humor in are super. Like, am I supposed to like when they're out in here, they're like, we're gonna get ice cream, and they keep going, Tutti fucking fruity. I'm like, that's not funny. That's so annoying. It's like you're showing the human side of the killers, and the human side is that they're like annoying as hell.
I loved Captain Spaulding. He was the best thing about that movie.
Yeah.
I like the chicken fucker scene.
I don't know that movie. And then like they die in this great blaze of glory with like fucking Freebird playing. Like,
I don't know what they did with William Forsythe's character. He was on the good side, but he was just like them in a way.
Exactly.
So
well, that's what I mean.
kinda...
A lot of people say it's just like his quest for revenge made him just like them, and I was like, but no, because he actually wanted to avenge the death of an innocent, and he was mad at these people. Like they're like he turned into just as bad as him, but I was like, no, if he was just as bad as them, he would just randomly torture anybody he found, like innocent people. Like there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference between wanting to kill like a bunch of sadistic killers and being a little sadistic yourself about doing it. You know, there's a massive difference. But people are like, yeah, and in the end, like his desire for revenge consumed him. He became just as bad as them. I was like, he didn't become anywhere close to as bad as them. But,
I never thought of them as heroes at all.
no, I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying that's the way Zombie kind of wanted to portray them. He's just like, look how all humanized, and like here they are getting ice cream and having their silly little jokes and all of this shit. And then again, how they die in their great blaze of glory, like they're heroes and stuff.
Yeah.
I just mean, I'm not saying that people are dumb enough. I'm just saying maybe Zombie thought people would be dumb enough.
I always loved when he walked through the door. That was awesome.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, just the glass shatters.
Dick Warlock sells this scene pretty good too, where he just flops over and all that. Yeah.
I mean, you know, at least we've established that bullets don't work on this guy by now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he's trying to tell the marshals.
Right.
He's not.
Shot him. Fuck, I don't even know how many times.
Although apparently he has soft spots because she's about to shoot out his eyes, which blinds him. But apparently he can regenerate because in later sequels he can see.
Bullets and glass doors stand no chance against Michael Myers.
I mean, you have to think hard about some of these things to make them make sense.
Oh no.
He's
Get
not.
away from him.
Yeah, it's called holding his breath.
Oh.
That was cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Next.
Before they're like, wave your hands. Now they're just like, swing this shit around.
On the new box set for the Halloween series, there's an interview with, I think it's Danielle Harris, and she says that when she was on the set of one of the movies, like she always thought Donald Pleasance's breath smelled funny, and of course she realized later it's liquors on his breath. He likes to have a drink every now and again. Yeah, so
He's got that old man stank.
But you want to talk about inconsistencies in later sequels? Loomis should have died in this explosion. There's no way he would have escaped with just a little burn mark on his face.
right.
In part 4, they make it more like it wasn't an explosion because they just say when the guy's like recapping, said even set him on fire, nearly burned himself up too. It's like, yeah, the way you say it sounds plausible, but the fact was it was a massive explosion.
Let's get a little secret in Hollywood, Mike. It's the magic of money. I mean, magic of movies.
That's what it is.
I accept the sequels and like them, but I just mean if you want to have this as an ending, it's a perfectly satisfying ending.
It is.
Like-
Yes, oh, absolutely.
You know, he's just like, it's time, Michael, and they both go up. He sees Michael as his, you know, responsibility, and he's prepared to take himself out to do it.
Yeah.
Just as long
The
as he
writer
can
of
take-
part four said that in his original script, it opened with like this explosion, and like with Donald Pleasance's character flying out of the explosion. So that was like how they were going to explain that he didn't burn alive because the explosion blew him out.
From the interior of the hospital.
One of his arms and hands is all burned, and apparently that's as bad as it got.
Well, that's cool. Where he comes to the door with it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh. Ooh.
Oh, right. Okay.
That little pause right there is pretty cool. Yeah. Ooh.
He's like, I don't approve of that.
Yeah.
I didn't like that at all.
I shot you 6 times.
Yeah, it's like
If it had been Buster Rhymes, he'd have been like, "Ow, motherfucker, what's wrong with you? Don't stick me with that little thing, you motherfucker."
Yo, man, I'm leaking, man.
You got me leaking and shit. That's your ass, motherfucker.
You said my name, but I have to continue.
I got shanked, player.
1, 2.
You done shake me.
Hold on.
Somebody call an ambulance.
Yeah, the bullets disable his eyes, but they don't go into his brain.
Well, that
Or
was
if they
a
do,
357 Magnum. It would have blown the back of his head out.
We're doing this scene. Just fucking swing it. Just go. Swing shit around.
It's that evil, man.
Well, see, at least that makes it more believable in this context. In the Rob Zombie one, it ends with her like on top of him shooting his head, and yet he's back in the second one. In a world that he did his best to establish didn't have supernatural stuff. So
She's
Right.
like, yeah.
Bareback in a fucking unicorn or some shit.
yeah.
Just too bad he died. He was such a good actor too.
Donald Pleasance?
Yeah.
Well, you know, everyone's got to go sometime. He was like almost 90, I think.
Yeah.
Dude, you pull
More
Sam
movies.
Neill, man. Sometimes
I just
100.
don't know how many more movies he would have done, even if he lived longer.
Pick him up. More
In
movies.
part 6, he looks so tired and haggard. Like, it's no surprise that he, like,
It was
died.
such a
Like,
strain for him to talk. His voice was almost a whisper.
yeah, I know.
Trick or treat.
It just shows what a good, like, sport was about the whole thing. Like, at the very beginning, like, his first line, where they're, like, talking about him on the radio, and he's listening. He's like, what happened to that guy? He must be dead. And he's just like, no, just very much retired. And you're like, holy crap, you're a trooper.
What's great? There's
Yeah.
on-set interviews with him on the new Halloween 6 disc on the new box set, and what's awesome is his interview. He's so enthusiastic,
Yeah.
and he's so excited and enthusiastic. You know, he just was like so like happy to be on the set talking about the movie. So I mean, he loved the
ecstatic
movies.
to be working with Paul Rudd.
Now, Michael comes walking out fully engulfed in flames, so that makes you think that Loomis would be in the same condition.
Yeah.
But again, you could think maybe because he got, I don't know. There's no window for him to get like blown out of.
Exactly.
You know, talking about Donald Pleasance, I was watching that AMC marathon while I was out traveling this week, and long story short, I love those parts at the end of part 5 where he's got Michael chained up and he's beating the crap out of him with a 2x4 and he's about ready to keel over.
Yeah.
He's like, die, Michael, die.
That's why I enjoy part 5. Part 5, he's at the end of his rope. He's just like a wild man. Like, like 10 years later, and still nobody listens to me, and everybody I try to protect dies.
Well, he's got blood all over his face and he's just like, die, Michael, die.
I mean, at that point, he's completely like, he spends most of his movie like screaming in Jamie's face and shaking her shoulders. This like 9-year-old girl, and then he serves her up her food at the end. Like he doesn't care. He's just like, I'm gonna get this fucker. And you can't really blame him. Like that's been his life for like more than 10 years.
Great. She was just in that hospital. Now they're going to take her to another hospital.
But they do have one where they actually keep the lights on and don't cheap out.
Oh Lord.
You'd think there'd be more media, but again, less is more. Oh, Dana Carvey's back. Tell us a joke. Do an impression of George Bush Sr., even though he's not anybody important at this point. Well, actually, he is. He's the head of the FBI or something, but you know. Into the fog. where pirate ghosts await. And see, this would become a staple of the series, too. The Sandman song.
Well, that's where they cut away from Jimmy sitting up
Yeah.
in the back of the ambulance. Because she was in the back of an ambulance, she would have been laying down. Probably had her strap down. She wouldn't have been sitting up like that.
What if part 3 was just like her in another hospital and Michael shows up again?
I'd be fine with that. I mean, part 3 is just, well, I mean, it is what it is. It's just an island. It's of weirdness. I enjoy the movie because it's so fucking strange.
But
I mean, it was so bad, it did not continue what they thought they were going to do, right? The whole idea was, we'll just use the Halloween name and each one will be a standalone thing. But then they were like, oh god, what was that? We better get Michael Myers back.
Man in pajamas.
We've got, robots and, I don't know.
Well, the mistake they made was if they were going to do that, making the sequel ruined that. Because Halloween 2 should have been the next story. They made 2 films with Michael Myers, that made people expect him in 3.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
But 3 is
Exactly.
just like...
And they shouldn't have called it Halloween 3. They should have just called it Season of the Witch.
Season of the Witch, it would have been
They
great.
were just like... Season of the Witch.
We've got a question from Robert, the Music Man. He says, Lance Guest did survive Halloween 2, right? Well, in the TV version, he did. In the theatrical version, he did not. So, depends on what version you're watching.
Over in the seat in the car, it never occurs to me that he's dead. He's just suffering from a concussion. It never occurred to me that he died.
He's just dead-ish.
I just, he makes it all the way to the car, but he's, all dazed, and she's trying to talk to him, and he's just and slumps over. I just figure it's a concussion. It never occurred to me that he died. I never thought he died. I would say he survives.
And I love the Mr. Sandman song here in this movie. I just think it's really cool.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Perfect double feature, man.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Not even Halloween yet. Yes.
Yeah. Now it's time to watch The Crow, if you haven't yet.
All right, let's go pop in The Crow, guys. Who's ready for triple feature? Pop in The Crow.
We've got Brandon Lee as our special guest tonight for this one.
Let's see what's going on out in the video, video comments. John Avenger complimenting James on his makeup job, which he's no longer with us. Chris K, how are you doing, buddy? Thanks for tuning in. Robert the Music Man, thanks for tuning in as well. Let's see. Chris K says Devil's Rejects is badass. What did you guys think of the staple gun scene? I don't recall the staple gun scene.
I remember it. It's when the cop actually has them captured. It's actually a pretty good scene because it shows that he's not just doing for vengeance. He has them, remember, they're tied to the chairs, and he takes pictures of their victims and staples it to them with the staple gun. He tries to make them remember all the people they killed. I thought that was a pretty good, effective scene. Of course, he fucked the whole thing up, but I mean, I think that's a good scene.
Let's see. R&R Horror Hunter says he's going to dress up as Bill Clinton and put a ruler in his pants, okay, for Halloween.
Epic costume. Good job, man.
Keep that cigar handy, buddy, if you know what I'm talking about.
Let's see. What else we got going on
Wow,
here? Chris Wynn says, does Michael only eat dogs to survive? They're full of protein.
Better for you than peanut butter.
AJ LaRue says, didn't they try to insinuate the cult leader in Halloween 6 may have given Michael driving lessons?
I said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That Dr. Wynn might have done that.
Why? Why would you do that?
I don't know. You have
Why
to
not?
follow the same logic of Part 6.
I mean, that's all you could say. Is, somebody had to
take a psycho for a drive day.
It would make him a more effective killer, I guess.
You ran over somebody again, Michael. God damn it.
Look, sometimes you're going to want to kill somebody, but they're not going to be within walking distance.
All right, Michael, now we're going to parallel park today.
Yeah, we're going to do drivers. Exactly. I know. I mean, it's just hard to think of Michael doing any of these things. I mean, that's what happens when you have these motionless killers. It's like, yeah, Michael must eat at some point. He must go to the bathroom, blah, blah, blah. But
It doesn't show him going to the bathroom.
Of course.
But
That's
if
the
you
problem with all movies.
We
How
need to
come
see these
no
things.
movies show any of the characters going to the bathroom? Doesn't make any sense. How could James Bond have done all that stuff without ever going to the bathroom?
Well, at least in a horror movie, if he went to the bathroom, he would have never wiped. We know
That's
that.
true.
We've established that.
Oh yeah, no way he's wiping that ass.
I want to see a supercut of all the times he's gone to the bathroom in the movies.
If Demon doesn't wipe, Michael Myers doesn't wipe. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Oh Lord, goodness gracious, we've been going for almost 4 hours here, people. We've gone through Halloween and Halloween 2. Hung out with Anthony Masi, talked about the original Halloween, had a blast with him, and then we decided to just keep the train going and continue with more from the night he came home and watched Halloween 2. We hope you guys enjoyed. Do you guys have any closing comments before we go ahead and close out this epic live commentary?
Have a happy and safe Halloween, guys.
I second that.
This is my new favorite episode of The Sausage Factory. Most awesome.
Hey.
Rock and roll.
Yeah, definitely had a good time tonight. Lots of fun. Anthony was a great guest. Lots of a lot of fun hanging out with him. Cool guy. And yeah, everybody out there, Sausage Factory Nation, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thanks for watching Halloween and Halloween 2 with us. Thanks for your questions. Thanks for your comments. Oh, goodness, yeah. Have a great Halloween. Have a great, safe, happy Halloween. And, yeah. And
Eat lots of candy.
yes, eat lots of candy. Be responsible. And yeah, so I guess until next time when we see you guys, we're actually going to be taking next Thursday off to recharge our batteries after this epic Halloween season, and we'll be back in November. So we'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. Same Sausage Factory time, same Sausage Factory channel. Thanks for tuning in. Have a happy Halloween. We'll see you guys then.
Happy Halloween.
Rock on.